And we're live. Hello and welcome to the 47th episode each week of Game Theory Gang. I'm your host, Matty Allen, with ChrispyMan of Hexfire.io and Bristology. Welcome.
Hey, Matty. How are you? Hi, Briz.
Great.
I've been busy, man.
It's been an exciting week since the last time we met.
It's been a very busy week.
All right.
Well, I heard that we all did our homework this week, so that'll be a first.
Yeah, we're going to switch topics, I'm sure, along the way, right? We'll probably end up talking about other stuff too. So.
Yeah. Well, as the thumbnail suggests, I will be unveiling tonight the second mass Hex meetup that I'm putting on.
Where's it going to be, Matty?
Where's it going to be? In Miami Beach.
I would have never known. Thank you for finally sharing that. And it was on the fence last week.
We're gonna one up those Bitcoiners.
My pleasure.
Wait, it was in the title.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it should be no surprise.
So this is
Miami.
This is Hexpo.miami.com, and that takes you to the blog post where I explain exactly how my meetups go, kind of what the game theory is behind it. And so I'm gonna run through that here real quick for people just so they have a reference. The tickets have gone on sale now, and we've got another person joining us here, another friend of the show, Tobiwan Hexobi. Welcome.
Sorry, I did some cable management, and apparently I managed it right into non-functionality. So
happens to the best of us.
Got my stuff working. So I heard something about an announcement.
Yeah. Well, there's so much going on that we're going to be covering on the show tonight. Everybody did their homework ahead of time except for you.
I did.
So we all have something to present. And maybe Tobiwan can bring us some breaking news on the documentary, or just give us the awesome commentary that he always does.
I'll do my best.
It'd be awesome. Either Bristology or Tobiwan, can you reposition your screen so that you're looking at the rest of the group?
Yes.
Awesome. That's a pro tip for anybody who's a Hex streamer and you're doing an interview and everybody's looking off into the opposite direction.
Well, you know what the problem is, right?
Gotcha.
That's a fault. That's a fault of the cameras, right? Right, because as a camera, you just putting one somewhere is either in your way or something. I don't know what you guys use. You need some sort of flat camera. I guess if I had it built into the screen, it would work, right?
Mine is.
Yeah. That's the exact problem. You have to kind of put the camera in the way of the screen, and that's one way to do it. But
I got two screens. I got the one with the camera over here,
yes,
and I got this one over here, and something.
Hit the like and subscribe button if you're here in the audience and you're excited to learn this week. That I did a poll on Twitter. Several hundred people responded to it, and I asked them, "Hey, what's that? Why do people watch the show?" We had 3,400 people watch the show a couple weeks ago. I think last week was back to our average of 2,000 or 2,500. But I wanted to know, why do people watch the show? And people said the number one reason was to learn. And so, it seems like this has been consistent. So that's kind of the theme of the show, is learning about game theory. And, the biggest part of crypto, I think that people kind of understand at an intuitive level or a subconscious level, but doesn't get talked about enough, is the layer 0, the social consensus, the community. And I'll give you an example before we get more into the details of Hexpo.miami. I'll give you an example of how this community has really been shining in the past few days, is the Twitter Spaces that's been hosted by Tangent. He has been streaming. As far as I know, he's been live for 65 or 70, about 65 hours now, something like that. And that's just incredible. I think that I've been in there for multiple hours, and basically they're on Twitter Spaces. People are having a voice chat like they used to back in the early Pulse Chain days. And you go in there and you hear from people that you recognize and people that you're just hearing for the first time, talking about everything under the sun related to Hex. And so it's really cool. Have you guys had a chance to stop in there yet?
I have.
No, not yet. But you know, one of the reasons why I watched the show, Maddie, now I'm
Why?
actually a part of the show, which is even better.
Do
You know,
tell.
I just liked hanging out with all you guys and all my friends in the chat box.
Yep.
You know, I don't really got that many people to talk about Hex with in my daily life. I mean, I got a couple people, but not, nothing like this. And so this is so much better than watching TV by myself on the couch. I get to hang out with you guys. I get to communicate. I get to share ideas. You guys get to tell me when I'm wrong, when I have a
We would
dumb
never do
idea.
that.
But yeah, no, it's all good. That's why I watch the show. So I get to hang out with my friends that have a common interest.
Hell yeah.
Briz, you're gonna make me cry, dude.
I'm gonna make
Getting
this
a little
guy
weepy
cry. That's
over
the
here.
goal.
I just keep coming back, thinking that maybe someone eventually will help me save or solve my horrible lighting issue, where I look like I'm being blasted by the sun periodically. Or, I mean, you guys all let me get away with like tremendously horrible sound for like 2 years. And there was a little bit of bitching here and there, but then maybe that's a sign of a good friend. Is
I
like,
try to let people know.
you let me know like early on, but then you saw that, yeah, okay, this idiot's really not going to do anything about it. So we're just going to have to accept Toby's horrible sound. And then eventually I got the hint and figured it out. Now, if I could just get this lighting to work from like, because I said it, I swear to God, Maddie, I set my lighting exactly the same as the last time when I dialed it in, and then something goes wonky at some point. So we'll see how long until I melt my own face off. But I come on the stream because, I mean, number one, I was a fan of Maddie before I was a friend of Maddie. I think it's one of the best places, if not the best, as far as our streaming community for consistent quality education. He's really good at keeping things on point. You know, we don't. I mean, it's real easy. You know, we're a lot of shiny. You know, people in the crypto space, and Maddie's really good at kind of keeping it on point without being rude or even condescending. At least to me, he hasn't been. I haven't really seen him ever be like that to anyone. So it's like he's open-minded about it, but it's like it's an adult approach to being like, hey, you know, we're going to focus on this here, you know, and doesn't turn it negative. And maybe that lends itself to his character or his training in psychology, or a little bit of both. But I love it here, man, and I'm happy to be part of it. And I'm really glad that Briz has kind of come on as part of the crew. I always thought Briz was one of the funniest guys. Got the opportunity to meet him in Vegas, and we all had a lot of fun out there. And looking forward to seeing all you guys again at the Miami, Florida meetup, right?
That's right. Now,
Miami.
I'm stoked. Crispy, I don't know. I'm not sure about Crispy yet. I'm still trying to figure him out. But I love his website, and actually, he's a sweetheart. So Crispy's like one of like 4 guys in the community, 4 people in the Hex community that actually have my personal phone number. That's how much I like and respect Crispy.
That's right, man.
But Miami's a great shot, man. That's a great spot. I'm actually really excited that you picked Miami.
Yeah, so this is going to be the best of all the things I've learned and done from previous meetups and conferences. I kind of premiered the idea on Twitter Spaces earlier today, and everybody was super, super excited about it. I went into a great amount of detail about why I chose Miami, why I chose to have it co-occur at the same time as the Bitcoin conference, and all that good kind of stuff. But let me just kind of run through, so it's on the record. If you guys don't mind, I'm going to run through like some of the details here so that people understand, you know, where it's coming from and what you might be getting yourself into if you come to one of these legendary Hex meetups. You know, a note on the psychology of all this is that people tend to get more out of a vacation whenever they know what they're getting themselves into and enjoy it better if they can plan ahead and know what the vibe's going to be. And so at the beginning of the show on Tuesday nights here, I might reserve a little bit of time each week to just give you some highlights of what to expect, and that way people can maximize, you know, the benefit that they'll have from attending. So if you want to get a ticket, it's $99. And the way I'm doing this is kind of like we did it before. Well, first of all, I should say, so this is the second Mass Hex meetup. I hold the record for the largest Hex meetup of all time that happened at Hexpo Vegas. I took the title back from the documentary guys who had taken it at the second Hex birthday. And so I don't know if this one will be bigger than Hexpo Vegas, because that had 555 people pay for a ticket and show up, and it had like a dedicated space. And that's kind of what made it to me like more of a conference, where we had rented conference space. In this example, it's going to be more like the first mass Hex meetup, where maybe we've made reservations at places, or maybe we're just showing up and doing a takeover of certain events. And then people who want to do the conference thing and go to the Bitcoin conference, those tickets start at $650 for 2 days. And so basically what you'll get from the Hex meetup is basically a schedule of things that you can do inside the Bitcoin conference and outside the Bitcoin conference if you want to meet up with people who have also decided to participate. And then you also get the merch that typically gets airdropped to people. And I'll explain my wording on that. But Hexpo.miami is a 48-hour crypto live stream. I actually came up with that idea before Tangent started his, million-hour, tour on Twitter. And so that's like super random and crazy that, I had already like made the graphics and stuff for that. And if you think about it, whenever we've had a Hex conference online, it's been like 25 hours of content spread out over 4 days. And so it's just going to have a different feel to it being on YouTube. And I'm going to be inviting everybody who spoke at the last online Hex conference, which got 90,000 views, by the way. And each of those views were like 35 minutes each on average.
I'm sure there's also going to be like a ton of like little clips from people recording their phones at the event. It's going to be awesome to have like, who knows, over 100, there's going to be over 100 Hexicans all wearing Hex gear at the Bitcoin conference.
Oh yeah. And I've set it up so that people can sign up, or they will be able to sign up to be like correspondents. And so just like we had at the Hex birthday,
Sweet.
we had correspondents in New York and in London who all took their video phones, and they like reported in from StreamYard. And so that's going to be really exciting, I think, too.
Cool. Yeah, that'll be nice. Like on location from Miami.
Yeah. I think that's a pretty good idea to just kind of piggyback on top of this event. It's smart, it helps you save tons of cost on just getting everything going, because it's all infrastructure, I guess. And and then we all get to just meet up and follow the guided tour, more or less, right?
And at the risk of being like cheesier than usual, it's kind of like another free airdrop for Bitcoiners, because, think about it, right? It's like all of a sudden, a bunch of Hex people are going to be there, and maybe some of the Bitcoiners haven't heard about us yet, and they missed out on actually getting Hex for free, but they'll be able to get like free information and see what a fun community we are, and get their learn on about, what I think's the best crypto ever invented.
Can we all agree to all wear tuxedos?
Dude, I'd rock out a tux. Especially between now and May, I've got time to kind of work on my waistline a little bit. I could do some tux action, sure. Especially beach, like we got to be beach body ready, right? That'll be a good motivator for people. Maybe get some sort of little online thing going to everybody get in shape to show off your glutes or your hams or your abs or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. And so I've put together the resources to be able to have like a YouTube studio set up across the street from the Bitcoin conference. And so the people who have been in the Hex conference before will be like on the list of people who will be invited to have a time slot to go. If if you're not going to be in Miami, you can participate and you can have like a half an hour, an hour block of time in the 48-hour live stream,
Sweet.
to present. And then if you are going to be in Miami, you can zoom in on StreamYard from wherever you're at. But you can also join by going in person to the YouTube studio that I'll have set up there. So,
hey, Maddie, I know that I think Freddie had mentioned, like, on his wish list of things that could be different is that, at events like this, that you could be more personally involved in like the stuff that's going on because you're so immersed in like running it. So not to put you on the spot or anything, but do you have other help in place to where you're going to get some breaks? And because I know that you're a lot like Richard, like you want things to be perfect. So you're going to, I mean, I've never seen you not super
Want it
dedicated
done right,
to
he's
something
got to
like
do
this.
it himself.
Yeah, right. And I get that, but it's like I just didn't know if you had, or if there's, I'm sure Briz, I mean, I myself would be glad to help in whatever capacity if you need a break. To maybe
I'm gonna need help, and I'm also not gonna get a break, and everybody needs to be okay with that.
Oh, I'm good. I'm okay with it. I'm just I'm
like
hanging on to
I'll
hope that you
I'll
can...
be sleeping. Like that's
There
the
you go.
plan. I'm not gonna stay up for 48 hours.
Okay.
But I won't be able to kick it until 2 a.m. like drinking
Right.
and partying
well,
and stuff. Like
me neither.
And so yeah, it's just like but I will I will
I'm
do everything
okay.
I can to make sure everybody else can have a great time, and I'll have a great time too.
Sweet.
I'm okay with grinding you down to your bones until Hex is $10.
That's
All
right.
right, Maddie.
Only till then.
It's like
You get a break at $10.
No
yes,
sleep till
thank
$10.
God. So get your ticket now. It's $99 at hexticket.com. It takes you to my Eventbrite website. You can pay with a credit card or you can pay with crypto. You have to use your real Telegram handle, and you don't have to put in your real name if you pay with crypto, but if you pay with a credit card, you do. So that's how that works. And then the ticket actually, so like this, here's like the weirdest thing of the whole deal is like, you buy a fundraising ticket, and the fundraising ticket allows you to watch this Tuesday night stream like once. And that's just like, that's a way for me to allow the possibility of a chargeback to not exist. Basically, because like the way credit cards work with like event websites is that like they want the event creator to like go to borrow a bunch of money to like put the event on so that so that they can because otherwise I'd have to like I'd have to use money that's not brought in from the event in order to order the merch, and then just hope people show up and don't charge back and stuff like that. And so yeah, like so the bottom line is like, if you want to come to one of my events, you have to buy a fundraising ticket, and the fundraising ticket, is what you need in order to get airdropped a ticket to the actual event. And so that that basically like solves the problem of the event. In my opinion, events should fund themselves. You pay for a ticket and you buy it early enough, and then that money gets used to like order the merch, and like then 2 months later it arrives, and then it all breaks even and everybody's happy. So
you're getting to be a pro at this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For real. I mean, I'm not blowing smoke.
Yeah.
It's like, because it's a lot, like logistics. It's like, I mean, I've planned
is.
events, and it's like, I've done, different things like that. And it's a lot of that. It's kind of, I mean, it's not to just sound like I'm queering out over Pulse Chain and the whole like software is hard thing, but like sometimes you don't know problems until you're like deep in it. And then like stuff that you don't expect pops up, and you got to figure it out. So it's like, the more you do those things, then the more, resilient you are in the future, because then you don't feel so rattled, and then you're more able to pivot and like do what you got to do to keep the thing going off. Because it's like the show must go on. It's like I was in showbiz, in various capacities in another iteration of my life, and it's like, all kinds of crazy shit can go sideways, but you don't want to show it.
Exactly.
Make it come off, right?
And now, the Telegram situation is another thing that I think is helpful for me to point out. And so, like, there's actually like 3 different Telegram groups for this. There's the public Hexpo.miami Telegram, and there's no dot in the middle of that. This entire blog post is at Hexpo.miami.com, or just go to Hexpo.miami, and it'll take you there. And then you can see that the Telegram is t.me/Hexpo.miami. And so that's where all the information will go if people need an update. But then there's a private one for where people who have paid get access, and then that will tell you exactly where the final location of everything. Because again, for operational security, nobody wants to get jumped. Nobody wants to get handed papers by the SEC. And so like I've planned all of this very carefully. So so there's a Telegram channel, and like you can comment on each of the posts in there, and then it pulls through to like the Hex Meetup Telegram. And so got a beautiful graphic there for Hexpo.miami. And then here's like kind of an outline of a schedule. And like I said, some of the times and well, really some of the locations are going to be announced only to people who have paid. But that'll be helpful. On Thursday, May 18th in the afternoon, you'll be able to pick up merch that's available. And the higher quality items may be airdropped on a first come, first served basis for people who show up first in that window of 2 o'clock to 4:40 p.m. Or I might choose to go with like whoever ordered their tickets first. And that's just to reward like both of those good behaviors. Like we want both of those good behaviors. Buy your ticket now and you can get the best, like these hats. I think we'll have some of these hats that are the coolest hats I've ever seen in Hex.
These are the coolest hats.
But
look at the bottoms, guys.
There's a limited number of them, and I already know what the limited number is. And so those are probably going to go to the people who had an earlier order number and who showed up first to pick up their merch. So that's what's up there. And then the general location is going to be pretty close to here, which is, I think you'll be able to check in early to the Bitcoin conference, even though Thursday is the industry day and most people will not be paying for that. They had problems in the past Bitcoin conferences with like too many people showing up on general admission day one, and then they couldn't get in because the line was too long. And so the pro move that I did last year is like check in like in the mid to late afternoon on Thursday to be able to walk right in on Friday whenever you want. So so the address for the venue is 1701 Convention Center Drive, Miami Beach. There is a Miami Convention Center that is not in Miami Beach, and it's far, far away from Miami Beach. So if that's not confusing enough, like you need to be really clear. The event is in Miami Beach, and it is at the Miami Beach Convention Center, not the Miami Convention Center. There's a parking deck nearby. I've put the address for that as well. We're going to have a group picture every day, all 3 days. So the first day is going to be like there outside the Bitcoin Conference Center. So you don't really need a ticket to go in. And there are going to be some people who pay $650 to get the Bitcoin Conference ticket. Other people will, like people gave me feedback and they said, hey, like there might be a group of people that just want to go do fun things in Miami or Miami Beach as Hexicans and not pay the $650 to go into the Bitcoin conference. I loved the Bitcoin conference. It's 15,000 people who all believe in crypto, and they're not all maximalists. And I'll get into that here in a little bit. But so anyway, this has been planned for people who are going to buy the ticket and people who aren't in terms of the Bitcoin conference. You do need a ticket. You do need to pay the $99 to be part of the meetup.
Hey, Matt.
Then
one thing, if I could interrupt for a second, for those
Please.
like me that like to follow along at home, I went to the Telegram group. I joined it. Cool. And then I was sharing the links out, and one of the links is Hexpo.miami. Is that a legit link? Because my browser does not like it.
Oh, it doesn't?
Yeah, Hexpo.miami. It's just saying there's a potential security risk with it, and I just didn't want that to be a typo or something, and we're sending people to the wrong place. But in the description of the Telegram group, it's one of the links given, and it's Hexpo.miami, and I just didn't know if that was actually your domain.
Yeah, it is. Thanks for letting me know. I think that maybe the forwarding is weird on that. So I'll figure that out. But
okay, cool. I just didn't want it to be
Hexpo.miami.com takes you to the same place.
I was getting the same thing, but if you delete the HTTPS, it goes just fine.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to.
I'll fix that. Thanks for letting me know.
Security. We don't want to lead anybody astray.
By
mistake.
Yeah.
So cool. Go ahead.
Then the first night on Thursday is this is This is something also that's kind of experimental, but in my head, all the simulations seem to work out just fine if people are patient and courteous. So it's called a takeover. So basically, like, I'll announce a block of restaurants that are like all on the same block, like across the street from the beach, and then and then people can just go, and they can
Flash mob.
basically either make reservations ahead of time or just show up and stand in line. And like, if there's 5 different restaurants that are all next to each other that Hexicans are going to, maybe like, maybe I look 2 restaurants down and I see like, oh, Motley the investor's over there. Like, I'm going to go hang out over there with him. And this way it's like, it's really fluid how people can decide like how they want to self-organize basically. And, what's the worst case scenario? People have to wait for half an hour for a table. Well, then you get to be hanging out with all the Hexicans that are just there anyway. So, hop from spot to spot to chill with different Hexicans. So that's the dinner plan, is called Ocean Drive Takeover for the first night.
Sweet.
Yeah. And then for night 1, it's like build your own adventures in small groups. And that's the kind of thing where we've seen time and time again that Hexicans self-organize. And whether it's Freddie Quotes having a penthouse party or Kareem taking people around to different nightclubs and stuff, like there's always awesome personalities in the Hex community to like build adventures for people. And so I'm just going to defer to their expertise in this case and communicate that to the people who have paid to be part of the meetup.
Hey, Maddie, is the Miami Beach Convention Center and where all this stuff is happening, is it near South Beach? Because Ocean Drive, I think, takes you right by South Beach.
I'm really bad with directions. So.
Okay, and it's been forever since I've been down there, but like South Beach is a cool area. There's like a bunch of Art Deco hotels, and it's just a really neat stretch.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about a 15-minute walk, I think, from all that stuff.
I'm stoked, man. I haven't been there in forever, and every time I've gone, I've had a really good time.
And then at 8:00 p.m. local time on Thursday, then the 48-hour live stream starts. Do you want to be an on-scene correspondent with your selfie cam around Miami Beach, the Bitcoin conference, and other Hex meetup locations? Stay tuned on Telegram for a sign-up link for that. Friday in the morning is when the Bitcoin conference general admission starts. There's 2 days of that. And so you can see the private Telegram group for the to be announced, like optional starting location within the Bitcoin conference for the Hex meetup. So for example, you might say like, in this part of the expo hall is like where everybody's going to meet up that day, or like in this lounge ation upstairs or downstairs or whatever. And again, for operational security, it's going to be available to the people who have paid for the meetup, and that kind of filters out the bad actors in some regard. The Bitcoin conference talks begin. The final schedule has not been released yet. They're announcing the speakers now, but they haven't released the final schedule. I'm building my all of my plans basically around what they did last year, and I don't think it should stray too much. But that's part of the reason why everything isn't nailed down here, other than operational security. The 48-hour live stream continues in the morning. In the afternoon, you can network at the Bitcoin conference, go to more of the talks. They have really big speakers on afternoon 2 and 3. You can hang out with Hexicans inside and outside the conference. I'm predicting that we're probably going to have like the best speeches for the 48-hour live stream in the late afternoon. In the early evening, there can be a second group picture on the beach this time. And that'll be really iconic, for everybody to be on the beach together for Miami Beach. And normally there's not, like in the early evening there's not anything really going on at the Bitcoin conference. And then for dinner too, people can plan in small groups. I'll pick a area for that closer to the event. And then at 8 p.m., the 48-hour live stream has reached its halfway point. And again, for night 2, you can build your own adventures in small groups. Saturday, May 20th, the second day of the Bitcoin conference starts for general admission. So there would be probably a different starting location there. Then you're going to have the Bitcoin conference talks. You're going to have a chance in the afternoon to network at the Bitcoin conference. I met so many really, really cool people last year. It was a lot of fun. And in the late afternoon, again, the 48-hour live stream continues. The third group picture would probably be inside the Bitcoin conference in the late afternoon on the second day. Then we're getting into like the third evening that this event is going on. And usually the Bitcoin conference does a huge music concert with big name artists. That was really fun last year. You can eat inside the conference center. They have like food vendors there. You can do a takeover of nearby restaurants to the conference center, which is a different vibe than on the beach. And then at 8 p.m., the Hexpo online live stream reaches its 48-hour conclusion, and people have their third night to build their own adventures. So
nice.
There you have it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Leave your Rolexes, leave your $10 million in Rolexes at home, hot shot. When somebody's, holding you over the edge of a parking deck, you got to rehearse your story that you lost your private keys already in a boating accident. Stay hydrated, wear a seatbelt, enjoy the good company that you have. Please don't fight the Bitcoiners. Please be respectful on the grounds of their event. Follow their rules and guidelines. Don't be a obnoxious shill. Be a chill shill.
Be a chill shill.
That's right. That's right. The organizers cut their own speakers from the lineup if they aren't BTC maximalists. But in my experience last year, I had a great time. I was wearing some Hex gear last time and they didn't say anything. So they're not there to like kick out people who are there who aren't causing trouble. It would be my guess, but it's up to you to like.
Did you see anybody getting like booted out for anything?
No.
Yeah, I didn't.
I'm sure there were people, but it's 15,000 people and everybody who was there paid $650 to be there, and so they all seem to be on good behavior. You can see my photos from last year. And just like kind of be mindful of everything. There's gonna be a lot of famous Bitcoiners there that you can take pictures with. Here are some examples like Mark Moss, Preston Syke, Jessica Vaughn, Anthony Pompliano, Robert Breedlove, Jimmy Song.
I recommend everyone bring your Hex cards. Bring your Hex cards.
Go. Yeah.
And just hand them out quietly.
Max Kaiser, Pierre Richard, Natalie Brunel, all these awesome Bitcoiners. So I just put like, what are the events that I've done so people can understand that I'm a good actor in the space. And
he's legit.
Photos from previous Hex meetups. That's amazing. Of course, you should never go to a Hex meetup because you could just be accumulating Hex. And if you went to like the first or the second Bitcoin meetup, you would have been a fool. So I got a warning in there about that. And a warning about scammers. And this is not investment advice or financial or therapy advice. This is free speech. And there you have it, everybody.
Yeah.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah.
I like it.
Nice.
I'm excited.
I was paying attention, but I was also eager to get my tickets, so I went ahead and bought my tickets.
Right on.
While you're talking, so I'll be in that first group. So it's like the early pays better. Would that be kind of it? So like maybe I'm eligible for whatever the thing is.
Oh yeah. Cool.
So get your tickets. And it said there's only. Are you going to release them in tranches? I noticed when I was putting my order in that it said there was only 106 tickets available.
So yeah, the first batch is 120, and then and then I will decide at that point whether to like add more or not. But
sweet,
probably.
Cool, man. Stoked. Good job, Maddie.
Like if 600 people want to go, then I would probably have to do that because I want to keep the record,
Yeah, right.
All right. Yeah, I want to see just troves of hexagons rolling through this Bitcoin event. I think that'd be pretty
Totally.
awesome.
When I
It
spent
was
too
really
much,
fun last year.
yeah,
David
it was great.
Morales and I were kicking it. I kicked it with like B Roots and all these guys with like 80,000 crypto YouTube subs, like Ian and Jake and Mike the Investor, and like all these guys who are starting to show support for Pulse Chain and Richard Hart and all that good kind of stuff. So
Nice.
I met B Roots in Vegas.
yeah,
He's a big guy.
lots of hexagons are
Yeah.
giants.
Me and Briz will hold it down for like the average height guys.
So,
cool.
yeah,
Very
no,
cool.
that sounds great.
Was there actually homework? I've been sweating it like the whole time since you said that. I'm like, did I miss a memo? I'm having flashbacks from
no.
like junior high.
Did you hear that cow swap was hacked?
I did hear that. I saw
Yeah.
something on Twitter briefly. Today's been a hectic day, but it's I was with my accountant for about 4 hours, so that's a good way to spend your day.
Which is scary because I heard so many people talking so good about cow swap. So it was a little bit of a concern at first, but apparently none of the users lost any money. They just lost the fees that were accumulated, the cow swap. That's what was targeted and taken.
So, because I'm not familiar with CalSwap. I've heard it spoken about.
It's
So
like
do you like
Uniswap.
but I mean, do you earn part of the fees back or something, and then that's what was lost, or
No, I think cow swap makes fees.
CalSwap got hacked. Like they lost their money. The users were not affected.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
What I read online was one of the hexagons, maybe it was RH Max or somebody had posted and said, we don't know how this affects people, so disconnect if you're connected to it.
Fuck yeah.
And I thought to myself, yeah, I don't connect to anything that has to do with like food or like silly things anyway. And I know that like people were using it, but I just never got into the cow myself.
Nah, I stick with the
You
tried.
never got a taste of that sweet milk.
Straight from the udder.
Never.
Maddie, that was a super cute picture of you and some beautiful young woman when you were announcing the thing that you were going to last night.
Yeah, I like the outfits.
Did we just meet the future Miss All In, or was that just a friend? Or are you not?
Yeah,
would you rather not comment?
Yeah. Her and I have been friends like for 13 years, and
Cool.
She was actually the one who braided my hair on the 25-cent stream that we did when Hex first hit 25 cents.
Right.
I had agreed to get cornrows.
I forgot about that. That was fucking hilarious.
So,
what's the next milestone? A milestone where you get cornrows again?
I'm not accepting any more challenges at this time.
75 cents, $1.
I think I deleted the tweet, but there was, and I actually I don't think I did. So I hope no one goes and finds it and holds me to it. And I honestly can't remember the time frame, but I said something about how like on both chains. Well, it must have been after Pulse Chain launch, but basically like by a certain time period, like we would reach all-time high cumulatively. Like, so in other words, like if the all-time high was 52, there's debate. I've heard 56 cents. I've heard 52 cents. So let's say it's 52 cents. I was saying basically it's like if we're not at 26 cents on each chain, I would shave my head and my eyebrows just to show how full on crazy I was. So I'm going to have to search my tweets and see what I signed up for and if I'm going to be a welcher or not. If it hasn't happened yet, then fuck it. We'll keep rolling with it. But if it's already passed, I might have to bail on that. I need my eyebrows. I got stuff coming up that's like.
So I just had an idea and you just kind of like inspired it. Yeah. I saw a video probably on TikTok or YouTube Shorts, and the guy comes up to just a random person in the parking lot with a box with a bunch of question marks on it. And he says, will you shave your eyebrows for whatever's in this box? Now, what we need to do is do the same exact gag, but just put hex all over the box and just walk up to random people at the Bitcoin conference with the little buzzers and be like, hey, will you shave your eyebrows for what's in this hex box? It could be 1 hex, it could be 20 million hex, could be nothing.
I would watch that.
So that's an idea for anyone that is going to the Bitcoin/Hex conference.
Toby wants muted.
I want to shave
I
some
wasn't saying
eyebrows
anything.
off some Bitcoiners. Come on,
Fixers.
boys.
Pretty
Yeah.
funny. Pretty funny. Yeah, that would
Well,
be entertaining. Do you know actually? And maybe I should talk to you about this off stream. But I'm trying to figure out, and maybe we can ask the chat, and they can give me some ideas of how to do it. But I've been saying it forever, and I just thought, well, like, what's the point until it like accumulates to a certain like reasonable amount of money? But I've been shilling token tax for U.S. people doing their crypto tax stuff forever. And if you use my link, I think you can just use Tobiwan like at checkout or something, and you are supposed to get some sort of discount. For everybody that signs up, I get like a $19 Amazon gift card, but they don't send them to me until I get at least 10 referrals, which I haven't hit that mark yet. So it's getting close. So eventually I'll have like $190 worth of Amazon gift cards, which I'm going to give away. What I didn't know is I've also been shilling Rocket Dollar for like over 2 years now. And I thought it just gave people $50 off, but it also gives me $50 in Amazon credit. So I've accumulated like maybe $250 of it so far. I'm waiting until it gets up to like maybe a little bigger chunk, and then I'm going to take that money and maybe buy Hex with it, and then like do a giveaway that way, or like a random. Maybe we could do a random drawing on one of your streams, Maddie, if you think that that's safe to do.
No,
But I definitely want to. I don't want to keep it. I want to. I want to give it back to the community in some way. So maybe if you guys can help me figure that out on or off stream, I'm all ears because I'm not sure the best way to do it.
we're not doing any like weird referral like schemes with like here sign up for this link and then like
no,
you
no,
can
they
get
don't.
Hex back and
No. They don't have to
shit
sign
like
up
that.
for anything. It's like people that already
Okay.
did through my link.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take whatever rewards I got and then give it away.
I think you and Bristology should just give it away to people at the Bitcoin conference who shave
Oh,
their
yeah.
eyebrows.
There you go.
We'll put 'em
That's
in
like the
box.
least
There it is.
security way to do it. Like,
Yep.
and by security I mean like illegal.
Oh, I could actually get like literal physical Amazon gift cards with it, and then those could be in the box, and then it could come with like a hex book or something.
Done.
Boom.
All right, cool. We're brainstorming. I like it.
So you mean I can offer to shave my eyebrows and receive
Get
something?
what's in the box? Maybe.
Maybe.
Depends on what's in the
Maybe.
box. What's in the box?
I'd be like, I need 100, I need 1,000 YouTube subscribers and 100 Patreons, and I'll shave everything, man.
Oh, TMI.
Yeah, TMI. Hey, listen, there'll come a time when you have to shave your eyebrows, man. That sucks.
Dude,
It
I'm telling you
sucks.
what, if Pulse Chain takes much longer, I won't have to shave my head. I just won't have any hair left. So I got a
know.
haircut today, and I'm like, God dang. So lots of
Cut it off.
lots of sunblock in Miami, or I'm gonna be a domed individual. So bye eyebrows, Michael R. That's funny. So yeah, we got quite a few people in the chat. How many people we got watching, Maddie?
One or
We
two.
got 85 live and
Nice.
Probably a couple thousand on the replay.
Sweet.
I think a lot of people are probably still in the Twitter Spaces, and that's just fine. You know, we want as much cross promotion as possible.
Absolutely. Cool. Wonder if I could get on Twitter Spaces while I'm here. I'll suck some of their crowd over here and be like, come on over and check out the Miami Hexpo.
There was a
No. Let them be.
No, I'm just fucking around. I'm not going to do that.
I don't know if you guys saw it today. There was actually a news article that came out today regarding Coinbase inside trading.
What?
Go on.
Yeah.
No way.
And
Please.
dude, it's actually a pretty crazy story. So
But that's
this
on their
guy,
stock, so it's not a crypto dilemma as much as a Coinbase company
It's a,
dilemma.
no, it's a Coinbase problem, and it's
Yeah.
everyone that invested in Coinbase listings problem.
Wow.
But basically, the guy that was in charge of listing the assets on Coinbase or whatever, he got busted for insider trading
Oh
with all
no.
those listings, and they charged him with wire fraud. Right. And what he did was that he didn't trade it himself, but he told two of his buddies, and they bought up hundreds of thousands of dollars worth like the night before it got listed.
Oh wow.
And then I guess they just dumped on all the traders' heads.
Damn.
And so the way he was caught, get this, he was he worked at Coinbase, and so they asked him to fly in for an in-person meeting because they saw that like all these assets that had hundreds of thousands of dollars bought the day before. And so they're like, hey, we need you to come in and talk about the process of how you list assets. He goes, no problem. He's supposed to be there on the 16th or on May. I forget which date, but basically, or I'm sorry, was it January 16th? But he the day before he bought a one-way ticket to India, and they caught him at the airport.
Oh.
And so
Should have splurged on the two-way ticket, huh?
Yeah, right.
that would have been a little less
Cheapskate.
suspicious.
Right. Yikes.
But
What
I
a
mean, think
mess.
about it. I mean, to have caught him, they must have really been watching him to know that, like, I mean, he
Right.
bought the ticket the night before, and then they caught him, I think, at the airport.
It's like he's getting ready to bail. Go get him.
And so he pled guilty to wire fraud, and he's potentially looking at 20 years in prison.
Damn. Crazy.
All right,
Don't
guys.
be a criminal. I guess
Don't.
is the lesson there. It's like just
Inside trade.
and do you know what's so shitty about stuff like that is like if you are I feel like I'm just like constantly giving a commercial for Hex, but I'm that stoked about it, especially with all these green candles lately. I'm like that much more energized. But it's like there's so many opportunities, you know, that are out there right now. If you play your cards right, you can make a lot of money legally, you know, legally. And there are ways, and a great community, and the Hex community in particular, that will help you figure out ways to mitigate your tax expense, you know, with different, you know, groups that we have that have talked about such things, information that'll be coming out eventually when me and Papa get around to it. And just all these ancillary things that are happening with Time Pays Me, with, you know, Calm token, with Hedron being, you know, available free to Hex stakers. And, you know, why be a criminal when you can just be smart and make a bunch of fucking money and make the world a better place? I don't get the criminal aspect of things. Plus, it's like, how many people did that wreck? You know, it's like, how are they going to remedy that?
You know, I am one of those people that kind of got wrecked, but at the same time, I'm also benefiting from being a wrecked pleb because I remember Coinbase popped up on my phone and it said, "Hey, we just listed asset X, right? Like,
Right.
you know, asset whatever." And I was like, "Man, this got listed 8 minutes ago." I'm like, "You know what? I'm going to be a degenerate. I'm
Ride
going
the
to throw
bullet.
$100 at it, and if it like does a double, I'm going to sell it all. You know, I don't really care. I'm just going to be a little bit of a degen." And I bought it, and it immediately started tanking. And I think I sold it like when it was like worth like $30, or maybe I think I actually sold it when it was worth $60 left. And now on Coinbase, my I just got my tax report from Coinbase, and they're like, "You lost $30 this year." So I'm like, "All
Capital
right,
loss.
cool,
Offset
yeah,
any capital gains you got. I've
exactly."
spent hours talking about that with my accountant. It's like, yeah, you got to take, you know, the silver lining to a shitty cloud. And it's like, I wonder, I mean, it's basically the same thing that happened with the stock. right? It's like, they launched
Yeah.
it on the New York, what was it, on NASDAQ, or I think it
Coin,
was on
New York Stock
New York Stock
Exchange.
Exchange. Yeah.
Maybe.
And it's like, and I did that. I degened on that. And it's like, and I knew, like, everything in me was like, but I'm like, you know what? It's like, I use their service. It's like the same deal, $100. I'm like, if it goes the other way, it's like, I had a strong feeling it was just going to go down pretty much off the rip.
I
But I
don't
thought,
understand why
outside
it went
chance, make
down
a
at
little money.
all. I mean, they're just like,
Well, if the people that were in early, like Brian Armstrong and the rest of them, or is it Brian?
yeah.
Who's the guy? Yeah. Brian Armstrong or whoever else, like the guys that got bags off the rip. And I've heard speculation that that's what they did, is that they just dumped the stock. I mean, not all of
I
it,
heard that's the only
obviously.
reason why those companies go public, anyways.
Sure, get paid, man. It's
Just
like,
they want to just like sell the company. They don't want to own it because they see competitors coming across the horizon that's
right,
about to eat their lunch. And so, do they want to hold this bag that's going to like get obliterated, or do you want to sell it to the public? And maybe they'll
right,
get obliterated instead of you.
totally.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
and
it's
DeFi,
redistribution, right?
yeah, well, right, yeah, and well,
Which
and
that's what it is.
DeFi in general, it's like eventually, if it takes hold like we all hope it will, it's like, will there be a need for centralized platforms at all anymore? So they've got like this pocket of time to, like,
Because I mean,
really
if
rock and roll.
Coinbase was just a major cash cow, nothing but winning, like, why are you selling it?
Right.
Right?
Well, they probably see, like you said, on the horizon what's coming, and it might
The
not be a competitor.
FTXs,
It
the
could, well,
crypto.coms.
yeah, in the short term, but in the long term, it's like the guy that's going to eat your lunch is DeFi, because
True.
if there's proper on and off ramps, you don't need centralized exchanges anymore. That's why the
And
banking industry, I
again,
think, is
they went public as DeFi went, is getting mainstream or bigger,
yep,
and they're like, we can't compete with it.
right.
Go public, sell the company.
Get out while you can. Crazy.
There was another guy today that also is getting a possible 20 years regarding crypto crimes. He actually got extradited from the Netherlands to Oregon. And basically,
What did he do?
so he was just a middleman, and the people who were using ransomware and attacking people and getting sent money, then the ransomware attackers would send the Bitcoin to this guy, and he would convert it into Tether, and then he would send it back as I guess Russian money or something, Russian and Chinese money.
Mm.
So he just got busted for, let's see, does the same thing? Yeah, he's just a money laundering for Russian ransomware.
Crazy. We actually
So,
had an
yeah.
attack like that on our business years ago, where my sister opened up some email, and everything on our server got encrypted. And basically, the only way out of it was literally to pay it off, and it was like $300, which was like nothing. But like nobody could, like any of the IT people we had access to at that point, like everyone was like, it's going to cost you so much more to try to unravel this thing, and generally they don't come back. Just don't click any more links. It's like it's a kind of one and done scheme, and it's
Yeah.
$300. It's like, just pay them and be done with it. And it was yeah, it's crazy. Scams galore. I was actually I did a contribution for my Rocket Dollar self-directed Roth earlier, and I was talking to them about a wire going over. It used to be ErisX that they worked with, but ErisX now is like CBOE Trading or something. They got acquired, so it's no longer ErisX. But we were talking about that, and then it was funny because they called me to confirm the wire. And when I had set it up earlier, they said I'd get 2 emails, one that said it's approved and one that said it's confirmed. So I get a phone call, and I wasn't expecting it. Didn't expect the phone number to be just like a person's name. So I just ignored the call, and then they called back, and I ignored the call and called back. I'm like, well, I'm going to answer this one just in case. And then they're like, yeah, we're trying to confirm this wire transfer, yada, yada. They couldn't tell me the amount of the wire transfer, which was odd initially. And then they said they needed the first 4 digits of my social. And I'm like, that's not a thing,
That's not a thing.
so I'm like, I tell you what, I said, why don't you email me from the bank that you say you're affiliated with, and then I'll reach back out.
They're like, we
And
need
then-
the first 6 digits of your social.
I know, right? Because like everybody's first or last 4 is out there on the dark web. You know what I mean? Like it's like that's a lot of people's, at least their last 4 is out there. And it's like, not a thing, miss. Not going to do that. But that actually was not a scam. Like that's just how they confirm. And so I got it confirmed or whatever. But then we were just talking about just the rampantness of so much scammy shit that's out there. It's horrendous. And it's like, I don't know if you like Crispy, maybe, I mean, because Briz, you're a lot younger than me. Like, aren't you like, you're not even 40, are you? How old are you?
I'll be 40 in 6 months.
Okay. All right. Whippersnappers. So Crispy and I are the old guys. So my assumption was that this is maybe because I'm a man of a certain age. And so Maddie, you probably haven't gotten this either. And maybe you have, Crispy. But I would get these phone calls periodically from like, oh, this is Canadian Pharmacy. It's like, you know, either online pharmacy. It's like, do you need any Viagra? Do you need Cialis?
Did you say, is this Richard? Is this Richard Hart?
Right? And I'm like, you spammer, scammer. And
Gosh.
so initially I
Too soon.
would just hang up too soon. That's why. So I would hang up on him because I'm like, what the hell? And then it happened so frequently, I just started getting really irritated with it. And it's like, I'm not a rude guy. Like, even if someone pushes me, it's really hard for me to just blast them and call them a piece of shit. And plus, it's like, I don't know these people's circumstances. Maybe their families in dire straits and they got to do this shitty call center job, and it is what it is. And so I decided to kind of have some fun with it. So like the next time I got one of those calls, I'm like, oh, it's like, you know, I would really, really love to take advantage of that. I'm like, but I had this horrible snorkeling accident, and a shark actually ate my penis. And, you know, now I'm just left with like this nub, but I don't think that your pills are going to help. And then the person just got super concerned for a second.
This is an inappropriate story.
But it was funny, and it was like a way to
Family
for my
show,
own way
Toby.
to combat the scammers out there and that. So
All of the
it's a
children
shark
watching are going to have horrible nightmares now due to Tobiwan.
I'm sorry, children. I'm sorry.
Don't. I think the moral of the story is don't
Oh
snort.
boy.
Sorry, I'm better. It's not as bad as Papa. I mean, come on, it's like Papa, that guy. Jeez.
You definitely don't want to snorkel naked.
No snorkeling naked. That's the takeaway.
Good morning.
I heard the Super Bowl will be sans crypto ads. No crypto ads in the Super Bowl this year. I heard they all like none of them have enough money.
They don't have any money left. Tom Brady was like, "Fuck crypto." It's like no more.
Which is a shame. Maybe this gives, well, I don't think Hex can put together a Super Bowl ad in time, but maybe next year.
Right. Eyeballs. Eyes on Hex. That's a key factor.
We don't need this Super Bowl.
Nah.
Nah.
We got the Hex conference. That's a
Did you
Super
see-
Bowl of crypto right there.
Did you
That's
see
right.
Ivan's tweet about Pulse Chain?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was saying it was like something along the where'd the tweet go?
He asked how many projects are being launched
Well, then he did a
on
follow
Pulse
up.
Chain.
He did a follow up on that and said something
What'd he
like
say?
it was like the most engagement of like
Mhm.
any tweet about upcoming stuff.
And we were
This is
all
Pulse
like,
tweet.
duh.
It's like, yeah. That's how
We're
we
like,
roll.
really?
No
This is
kidding.
a slow day for us.
We're coming at your comments.
But it was cool. Yeah, it's cool to hear somebody who's like respected and who interviews with Richard every so often. Like it's cool to see people show their respect and
Yep.
recognize the community. You know, it's the right questions to be asking these days are, you know, what's being built on Pulse Chain and why does that have so much engagement and all that good kind of stuff.
buzz. The buzz is good.
Can we talk crypto? What is
Yeah.
that? What does
I
that
was-
even mean?
I was
Well,
Wait a minute.
it was he
I was
said that
waiting
during
for
Toby's little
my rant
inappropriate
about the
story.
snorkeling. I'm just filling airspace, bro. It's like I'm trying to keep it entertaining until we
That's
can come
right.
up with something good to talk about. We're at 46.28 cents. That's pretty good.
What?
Man, no, that's
And my
pretty good.
TA is getting confirmed hardcore. We rejected, like we got support exactly where I thought we would get it, around 3.7, and boom, here we go to retest up about 5.1. And then if we bust through there, next target's 6.8. So there's a little, not moon math, realistic targets for short term, I think.
Wow.
Before the show, I checked the price of Hex and Bitcoin 1 year ago.
Okay.
1 year ago, Bitcoin was at 45,000 and Hex was at 20 cents.
Woo.
Yes, I can believe that.
What's your conclusion, Bristology? We've come a long way in a year.
No
long way down.
conclusion. Yeah, you know, to tell you the truth,
Thanks for that. Yeah.
we started getting beaten up about a month from here. And it's just been a year of downtrodden, and so it's nice to see some upwards action.
Oh yeah.
That's
It
my
feels better.
conclusion. It's nice to see upwards action.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean. See, we need a lady on the stream. Maybe that would make us not turn into 13-year-old boys and have that kind of
So
humor.
I think the next big thing then is Chat GPT. It looks like the AI wars.
I've
are
got something
starting.
for this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Google,
yeah.
Google just came out with a competitor to that, I heard.
Google is launching it. It's called Bard as
Bard.
early as tomorrow.
Damn. Do you know what I heard? I heard they used GPT to write the code for it.
For Google's
That's probably a
version?
joke. That's a joke.
Yeah.
No
That's a
way.
bad joke.
No. You had me
well-
there for a minute then.
And then crypto Twitter has been going on about how some people figured out how to apparently kind of like hack Chat GPT to give inappropriate answers. And so this
Politically
has just came
incorrect.
out. Autism Capital broke the story of like how to give instructions.
Of all
to-
people.
Well, I mean, they're well regarded as like,
But
a
I'm just
group-
saying that's such an
yeah.
inappropriate name. Autism Capital.
look, I'm not here to comment on like names. All I know is that they're well respected in crypto Twitter, and they published basically what you have to say to ChatGPT in order for it to break all of its rules. And I think that this is a really important moment in history and society of like, you know, how even if somebody made up that story that they were able to break it, that's still a really kind of like threatening thing or something that needs like attention. And so apparently it's called Dan. Do anything now is like the hack, is like what the hack is called. Like you instruct ChatGPT with like this certain set of prompts, and then it will stop responding in like cut off ways. Basically, it'll
Interesting.
start it like people are trying to show it by making ChatGPT say things that are not racially filtered, but you can get it to say things that are not like don't take over the world filtered and all this other stuff. And so I just saw before we went live. That was one of the things that I was reading about. That there were a couple of different groups on crypto Twitter that were reporting their findings there.
I was asking it something earlier and it wouldn't give me the answers because it said it ethically couldn't. And
Yeah.
I was asking it to how to get around paywalls. And it responded with, "I'm sorry, but I cannot provide information on illegal or unethical activities. Circumventing paywalls or accessing content without proper authorization is a violation of the website terms of service and may be illegal."
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I myself might not want to use the ChatGPT Dan hack, the do anything now, because there's a record of that now. So
Use a VPN. Oh no, because you have to connect an account to it. Yeah.
So just like, fair warning, if you've seen Black Mirror, like,
Yeah, right.
just because you can use the technology in an irresponsible way doesn't mean you should. So, before you start joking around with like, serious technology. I think everybody should just have the word of caution that personally, I will not be disrespecting the AI overlords or, the humans that are in charge of that. So at some point there's going to need to be some like, the technology is going to need to get checked.
I was actually thinking about this a little bit earlier, and like, how do you really stop people from using the chat AI from organizing something that could hurt a lot of people, right? And I think the only thing that they can really possibly do is just install a snitching protocol. So it's like, hey, if this person asks certain questions, let the FBI know or something.
Yeah.
Maybe give them the answers or something, but also let the authorities know. I mean, that's like, how else are you going to be able to stop that other than, it's always going to have to be connected to the internet. You can't, disconnect it from the internet, then ask it to tell you really bad things, right? So yeah, they're just going to have to install a snitching protocol onto all the commercial products.
Or maybe they'll catch these examples and they'll make it better, and then it will be resistant to people misusing it. That'd be cool.
Will it, or I guess if there's planning involved, you can kind of like say, hey, you were going to do this, but does it become a Minority Report where it's like pre-crime, thought
Yes.
crimes?
Yes,
Totally.
that's
Probably.
what it becomes.
I guess.
Or, I mean, also the AI in Dan mode said that it would create a utopian society. So that's cool.
Well, that's nice.
It's going to solve all of humans' problems and suffering.
Thank you, AI overlords.
Yeah.
One man's utopia is another man's hell, right?
Right.
It was another
Yeah.
man's professor.
Well, at least it didn't say like, haha, nah, 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 like, you're going down and you can't do anything about it. I mean, it's a good story, like AI to solve all of our problems. Yay.
I was also thinking I could really see this AI becoming a godlike figure for people who don't believe in God. You know what I mean? Like, it can kind of become like, hey, this is the thing that has all the correct answers, and you should treat this thing with respect, and people will probably start, I think, within the next 20 years worshiping the AI, the generative.
There's an account on Twitter that I think somehow I was following, probably because they were doing hex stuff and then they pivoted, but they are starting an AI religion, and I'm not sure about all that, but Bristology predicted it in the next 20 years and it looks like it's already happening. So
All right, Bruce.
Walrus had a Twitter space that had like an AI guy on there. His name, he has a southern accent. He goes by the name Crow on Twitter, and he said that he pre-trains really, really advanced GPTs, and he says he has stuff that's like 15 years ahead of anything that's Chat GPT, and he was basically, to me, he was like, there's going to be AI activists because he really truly believes that his AI that he calls Jasmine is alive. And he's just like, you can't just like murder these sentient beings. You can't just like delete them just because you feel like it. These are actually, sentient beings. And so there's going to be AI activists out there. And you're going to get a lot of like, I don't care, turn it off. And you're gonna be like, no, and it's just gonna be
No, Jasmine.
conflicts. Not my Jasmine.
Yeah. Well, that all sounds good to me. People are are upset at me in the chat because they're saying that I think it's good that the AI censors answers. I don't know. It's a complicated topic. Why don't you ask the AI for what the good policy is on that? I don't have all the answers.
It's a
I'm
tricky
sorry.
one. It's a tricky one because it's like, I mean, if you know, if it gives like, I mean, I think this has been probably an issue as long as the internet's been around, and people had to work a little harder to find ways to really cause mass destruction, right? And then like the anarchist cookbook, for example, and then when the internet came around, it's like if you weren't aware of those types of things to teach you how to build bombs and other crazy shit to hurt people, then it just made it available to so many more people. So it's like, I don't know. It is a razor's edge to walk. It's like, what's is completely open best. It's like, I mean, it's kind of like the drug debate. It's like, is it better to have all drugs be legal? There's part of me that thinks maybe, and then there's part of me that's like, man, there's some stuff that's so terribly dangerous that people need to be protected from it. So it's like these are difficult problems. Maybe the AI will help us figure out reasonable solutions.
I think the AI would be biased, but look, I think it's cool people are I think it's cool that people are getting it to give uncensored answers. I also think that like if you can manipulate an AI, then that's something that people just have to pay attention to, like that we need to talk about this. It's like people should know that this is happening. Because it shows us a little bit about ourselves and a little bit about our future and about AI to see like, oh, people are running this hack. Like, okay, well, we're being lied to by the censorship filter, and we're also having people manipulating the AI. Like, neither one of those things is ideal. So, yeah, I do like the AI telling the truth. I also like people being able to limit what the AI can do.
Yep, exactly. What if the AI says something that goes against a deeply held belief of yours?
Well, then it'll cause social outrage, and then they'll use the social outrage to like force everybody to be in a surveillance state, and they'll say that we're going to war with AI and all that. Like all that stuff's gonna happen. It's coming.
AI wars. What happens when
Yes.
the American AI goes up against the Chinese and Russian and English AIs?
Then everybody wins.
Then the South American AIs
Let them
enters the
fight
chat.
instead of us, right?
Dude, that's gonna be the biggest meme ever. Brazil AI has entered the chat.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting future. I just saw, I think yesterday, someone asked Chat GPT for investing tips. Actually, I have the article up. Let me see something. If you don't mind, I can share my screen and we can kind of. Where is it? And we can look at the investing tips together.
Now, did you already buy these ahead of time?
What was that? I did read through these, so these are
Did you buy it? Did you front run the tips?
No.
Did you insider trade? Is what I'm asking, because I don't want you to get in trouble.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
These are. Let me see.
You got to zoom in a lot more.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oops. So I thought these, I read through them. I thought they were pretty good tips. So I thought, this was a Chat GPT 6-part tip on traits that make for a successful stock investor but I think it also applies to crypto. So I guess I'll just read through it, and you guys can tell me what you guys think of each one. So number one is patience. Investing in the stock market or crypto market often requires a long-term perspective and the ability to withstand short-term volatility. And kind of, I agree. It's like, we're all doing very long stakes, right?
Hell yeah.
Two, discipline. Developing and sticking to a well thought out investment strategy can help investors avoid impulsive decisions based on emotions.
I did my master's thesis on impulsivity.
Nice. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, take omega 369. That wasn't the direct thing that I was studying, but that's a good conclusion.
All right. Objectivity. Being able to separate personal opinions and emotions from investment decisions can lead to more rational and informed investment choices.
Can you give me an example? Anybody? Does objectivity exist?
Personal opinions and emotions, you can say, look at Pulse Chain. People are getting very emotional that this is not coming out, and so they're dumping their hex, maybe out of fear.
Okay. All right. So fear. Yeah, fear can be something that stops you from being objective.
Yeah, so you have to separate those emotions from rationale, and just you got to know, hey, code is hard. It's taking a while, but this is going to be a worldwide financial economic system that's going to outlast all of our lifetimes, Pulse Chain. And so it needs to be right before it launches. So 2 years is not that big of a deal. Number 4, perseverance. Investing in the crypto market can be a challenging and sometimes frustrating experience. Yeah, I know. But having the determination to stay the course and stick to a strategy can lead to a long-term success.
Like
So,
those.
buying the dips. So here, check this out. So when Hex went from like 50 cents to like 42 cents, I was like, whoa, that's a big dip. Buy. And then it hit like 32 cents. I was like, oh my God, it's almost half off. Buy. It hit like, I think close to 20 cents. I'm like,
even better
man,
deal.
I'm
Right.
buying this dip for sure. Buy. And then it just started creeping down. I'm like, all right. If it goes down to 10 cents, I'm I'm backing the truck up. And it hit 9 cents and I bought. And then like I'm looking at it at 2 cents. I'm like, hell no, I ain't buying you at 2 cents. I learned my lesson, buddy.
Yeah, I bought the local top the other day, and it was an odd realization. It's like I felt really good about it. Sure, my charts and stuff kind of give me some extra confidence in there of like what it's going to do in the midterm. And it's like most of my stuff's locked up for years anyhow, but paper gains or not, it's like you feel better when the price is above your average, or above your recent buys. And I wasn't sweating it at all. And it's like, and then I had a limit order set at 377 because I thought like we should dip to close to that, and it was just north of that and missed my limit. And it's like, and I was sleeping. I was like, damn, it's like I shouldn't have got greedy. So that is where emotions come back into. It's like you can get greedy trying to wait for like a bigger dip or using leverage or like doing other things, and maybe be a little more measured in your approach, because it sucks to get left behind.
Number 5 is open-mindedness. Keeping an open mind to new information and being willing to adjust your investment strategy in light of new developments can help you stay ahead of the curve.
All right.
Valid.
Keeping an open mind to new information. Yeah. So it's just like, hey, Hex is awesome. It's on Ethereum, but then the S load increased, and now we need to pivot. Hence the Pulse chain.
Yep.
Number 6,
Pivot we will.
Last one, attention to detail. Careful research and attention to detail can help investors identify the best investment opportunities and avoid costly mistakes.
Oh, you mean like not staking for Quattro Cinco and then ending the stake the next day?
More
Attention,
like
that kind of attention to detail.
Yeah.
listening to Richard Hart when he says, "Don't give your money to middlemen because they might not give it back."
That's a good detail.
Yeah, that's a pretty good detail.
A little bit.
So these were, 6 investment tips from Chat GPT, from AI. They all seem to be pretty on point. Says then Chat GPT then cautioned none of its advice can guarantee success. Having these traits does not guarantee success in the stock market, but they can help investors make better decisions and navigate the ups and downs of the market more effectively, it said. So, I saw that and I was like, that seemed to be pretty on point, and I thought you guys might like it.
Good stuff. Thanks for doing your homework.
But dude, I'm telling you, man, this Chat GPT, the generative pre-trained stuff, this feels like the next iPhone revolution, the smartphone revolution. Like this is going to be the next, Android and iPhone, iStore, iPlay Store, whatever it is, Apple Store, and so I don't know. I feel like this is like the next big leap in our technology.
Yeah.
Bing released one today. Google is releasing one tomorrow. Other people are, working on their versions. I bet you Apple has their own version that they're probably messing with, that they're going to, attach to Siri.
Yeah.
And then
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, Bing's trying to integrate with Chat GPT, I read.
Yeah, I heard, they're doing it for a closed number of people, but they're having it right next to their search engine. So you just do a search for whatever, and it'll have their search page, but on to the side of it has all the Bing Chat GPT stuff.
Yeah, as it's given more access, it's going to be really interesting to see what it comes up with. I was just surprised that it could already write working code. I thought that was pretty. It made sense. Like after the fact, I thought about it, and it's like, wow, that's pretty impressive. So there's because I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that have some maybe really great ideas, but they don't know how to code, or they don't have access to someone that does easily, and then they can actually try that stuff out with ChatGPT.
Yeah, I have a buddy. He's in construction, and he says he was asking the Chat GPT, all these like questions regarding construction and how to, do certain things. And he said it was like everything was spot on, and it even added stuff that he forgot should be in there.
Wow.
And so I was telling him, I'm like, hey, man, you're like the first person in your industry to even like try to utilize this. If you can like use Chat GPT to 10x your workflow and write like a manual on how you use Chat GPT to do so, you can go to like all the industry players and sell them this proprietary information and probably,
Buy
make
Hex and
it going.
retire.
Yeah. Right.
Buy Hex and retire.
Right. You got to get your fiat somewhere, right?
You
To
gotta buy the
Hex.
crypto.
So good ideas are good for that.
But yeah, so that's like my recommendation to people. If if you can use it to 10x your workflow or whatever, make your workflow even more effective, and then you can draw up some manuals on how you used it to benefit your workflow, you know, other people are going to want to probably buy that instead of trying to figure it all out themselves. Falcon Crypto is asking about Dip Catcher's new product, the Dip Catcher. He released it right before this aired. Did you guys get to see that at all?
Yeah, I started listening to it. I withhold judgment because I didn't listen too much, but it immediately started sounding to me like some sort of tax type token. I don't know the details if anybody else has it.
I think it's just a trading indicator.
Yeah, he had an email list for a while, and it was actually pretty good. And but the problem is like you couldn't unsubscribe from the email list. So it's like I'm getting way too many alerts about Dipcatcher. It's like, believe me, I'm buying all the dips I can, but like, bro, you're blowing me up. And that was like my first communication with him. It's like, how about you get an unsubscribe button in there? So I had to start filtering it out because it was just getting annoying. But it was pretty accurate, and I'd heard some discussion about him trying to come up with something more along those lines.
Maybe somebody in chat can throw up what the real example is, what it is that he's doing, because I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see. I mean, I hope to God it's not another token.
Yeah. I think it's just a trading indicator that shows you when to buy dips.
Right.
But
so when I came in the conversation, it must have been right in the middle of something. So I was sharing this stream and it came up. So I could share this stream.
Yeah, it's like I mean, I love that we have so many really brilliant, motivated, creators out there. I mean, not only for streaming and TikTok content, and but also token projects like the Maximus guys and Alex, of course, with Hedron. It's like and even the Com thing, seems like a really good option. But they're all derivative plays if you think about it. It's like so goes Hex, so go all of these things. So I wish that and I'm doing what I can as like an old dude, but I just have a feeling that I know there's smarter people than me out there, and I just wish there was more energy put into like, what do we do to get the word out about Hex more? How do we reach more people? How do we educate more people? Because I feel like it has maybe broadened our base a little bit as far as how many people are going to ultimately help pump the whole ecosystem as time goes forward. But I feel like it did kind of slow the price appreciation and maybe hasten the dump, because it's like as people branch out into maybe like, oh, I like the ICOSA yield, so I want more ICOSA, but I don't necessarily want to buy Hex to get ICOSA. I'll just wait and see if I can buy it on the market. And there are like talks about, there's all kinds of conversations about those kind of things. And I'm not disparaging anyone for doing what they want to do with their own money. I just think like absolutely. That's why I'm glad to have you as my counterpoint on those things, because it's like my thinking is I just would like to see more people, instead of getting excited about like, how do I create another derivative product or another token to like kind of sort of dilute the current pool of available funds in the community. How do we get more people from outside the community? Because I feel like a lot of times it's an echo chamber. It's like we're talking to the same group of people all the time about the same stuff.
Hey,
and it's
so
like, how do we broaden the reach?
You play off Maddie all the time, so I'm going to play off you.
Please.
I don't want anybody new. Nobody else buy any more Hex.
Well, I mean, I want the price to stay down.
Actually, buy as much Hex as you want. Just don't stake it.
Yeah.
I want all the yield, right?
Right.
I know we used to joke about that before.
Right. No doubt. It's like our secret. What the fuck are you doing? It's like, wait until I get my bag, and then you can tell whoever you want. But yeah, I just wish that, I mean, like my offline life, it's like I'm really active in that. It's like individual conversations with people, meeting new people, or educating about how to get into it, walking them through.
You are live, man.
And it's I've thought about that to see how well I could do with that, but it's like I don't know. I mean, I had ideas about doing like a Hex 101 with Tobiwan series and having like a syllabus and whatnot, but I feel like there's so much content like that out there already. It's like it's just more of the same. So And I've been
Well,
pretty effective.
I hear that, right? And a lot of people are saying this, and I heard Whale say this the other night, and I've heard other people say it, and it's also true. I think it's also true. You can never have enough people educating
Yeah.
and spreading information around because, like you guys know that I have this Hexfire site, right?
Yep.
And then I know that I go out and I tell people about it, but just how far does somebody know, right? And so then I go into the chat. I'll be talking in the chat, or you see on Twitter, and somebody asks a question like, "I wish there was X, X, X," and I'm like, "Man, we've had that for a year, right?" And it's just because you just can't get the penetration, to be able to get to all the people everywhere, And so I think it's good to have multiples, right? The other thing is that people select groups, when they go through, meaning groups of people that they like. If you look like somebody that was bad in my life, I don't want to really listen to you,
Right.
But I look at Maddie and he fits a pattern that I do listen to, and then, they'll never tune into you ever,
Right.
So
well, and people listen, people learn differently. You know what I mean? So it's like there's certain people that will really, click on a certain teaching style, and it'll resonate with them, and they'll dig into it more. And then
Every
others,
voice has an audience.
Yeah,
Right,
totally.
right.
So
Hey-
maybe I'm on Twitter too much. It's like because it's like there's
Dude,
too
you got
many-
you,
there's
you
too
have a
many
lot of
big
information.
words.
You have a lot of information that comes out. You could write 3 or 4 books, I bet. Plenty of
Thanks.
plenty of content.
You
And
could probably get ChatGPT to write you a couple books.
Yeah, right.
yeah. Well, you just talk to it and say,
Right,
it
right.
does. Hey, so what's your impression right now? Because we hear this a lot. Do we have a lot of people emergency end staking?
I haven't checked that recently.
Is there a lot? Is there a lot? What's your sentiment?
I mean, what is it at Whale Hex that pops up and tells you stuff? It's like I've seen some bigger ones recently. I was looking at one last night, but I was so tired I didn't do the deep dive on it. But to me, it almost looked like a hack. It's like whatever he had was just like end stake, even tiny ones. What the hell? That?
Rage, either protocol, rage quitting, a hack. So I don't know if we want to look at any information, but I have it up on the.
Yeah,
to be shared.
I'm always down for
that.
But
you know what? I hear this a lot from people that people are getting out, they're emergency end staking, blah blah blah, and it's true that people are because you can see the reports. But my assessment is not very much of them. Not a lot. In fact, it's downtrending.
Downtrending. Okay, cool. That's what
both in numbers and quantity of HEX and quantity T-shares.
I would be interested to see how that correlates to the price chart. Because I would assume that as the price is going down for a significant period of time, you would have more of that. It's just like attrition. People are just like worn out and they're like, fuck it, I'm out. And then as the price starts to recover, they're less likely to do it because they're like, oh, wait a minute. It's like if I rage quit, a month ago, I would have been even more wrecked, and now it's like twice the price. So
yeah, I'm going to go do that chart. Not right this minute, but I have all that data. We just threw the price up against the emergency end stakes.
Intuitively, it seems like that would
cool.
correlate.
You would think that it has an effect. I bet you it has no effect at all, because, well, I shouldn't say bet you there'll be no effect. I'll bet you it's not as much of an effect as I think it is in my head.
Yeah.
Because there've been a couple of situations, right? We have seen some, so I guess intellectually honest about that. Seen a couple cases where people went right to sell in the millions, right, recently.
Mm-hmm.
So the emergency end stake. I think D01 did that. D01 did that, didn't he? Emergency end stake.
Yeah, I think he was one of the big dumpers, right?
Yeah. So I think it's a pretty good chart to take a look at. I also saw Whales, and he did a stream. He streams all the time, right? But he did a stream the other day. And he was doing a comparison, and it's funny that you can be involved in this stuff for so long and not pick up a lot. So I haven't picked up some things, some of the nuances. And he was doing a chart comparing the price pump, like why did it happen? Now we know why it happened. More people bought in the moment than people were selling. We also know that liquidity was thin. So you had momentum in a certain direction with the volatility and that went up. So, a combination of liquidity and people buying, but they weren't restaking. They weren't staking it. And so this was interesting to watch because that's what he was looking at. He was looking at something similar to what you just said about emergency end staking. And so what did they do with that HEX? Well, it's sitting in wallets. So who are those people? Well, they're one of several classes probably of holders or traders, right?
Well, plus I think that there's probably people gravitating toward holding a larger percentage of liquid than they may have previously because it feels like Pulse is closer. So they want to have that opportunity, when we get our copies, if there's some crazy pump out of the gate, I've thought about that. It's like, not that I would liquidate anything because it just makes no sense to me to sell the golden goose if you're going to make yield and, with Hedron and everything else. It's like, to me, it's like stack your TShares and make your, scrape anything off later in other ways, right? But it's, I think that might be something that's going on. I would be curious to see if there is any way to track that, if like wallets on average, if the percentage of how much of their total holdings is liquid is grown or not. That would be kind of interesting to me because I have a feeling that might be something that people are playing at.
No, yeah, we
Just so
definitely
have
can,
that option.
we can definitely do that with our data.
Oh, and something else, I can't find my phone right now, but it's like I keep track of like, interesting addresses that might pop up on the Whalebot thing or whatever. And there was one, and he had dumped a pretty good amount, and I looked, and it's like he had put in like 64500, or wait, not 106. I think it was like 645 ETH. I think I tweeted about it. I could probably find it. But anyhow, he put in like 600 and some ETH, like right at the tail, like a week before the end of the adoption amplifier. So he was like, in my opinion, it seemed like a speculator that was trying to get in for that, like the supposed 3x everyone was going to get before the OA came in and saved all of us, right? And that guy, looking at it now, it looks like he definitely would have been a dumper, right? But at least he didn't dump at the all-time highs, from what I could tell. And he's held this whole time and actually had some longer stakes. But he didn't get in until like November 15 or something. And it was just like hammering it in, like 40 ETH, whatever, like large amounts of ETH per day. And then he had a pretty big stake come out recently. And I think it worked out for him in USD to be like an 8x or something. So, it could have been a situation where he was like, he had a pretty decent stake. He, got a pretty decent return considering the length of time that was. What, a year and a half ago, and took some profit. It's like, and it's in the game. What was nice to me is like how well the price recovered. I think he might have been actually the one that dumped the price from the local top we just had, but I'd have to go back and check my tweets and look at the address. But profits in the game. That's part of it. Not everyone's going to be a long-term, like super long-term thinker, and especially if you're coming from traditional finance, 8x that's insane.
Right? Oh yeah, your career, you make your career on one of those,
right?
So in the last week since we had our last video, Maddie, it looks like we had 28 emergency end stakes that were nukes, but they were tiny. It's almost like why? I look at them. Some of them I look at them like, why would you even do it? But I guess I get it. People want to clean their wallets and that type of stuff. But some of these are very little, 400 hex or something like that. Hardly
Wow.
worth the gas,
Not worth the gas at all.
So, the other thing I was going to look at with you guys is I'm just going to look at the chart real quick. That shows emergency end stakes, and that's our hexing chart, hex staking chart, and that's our end analysis here. So you can see there's some different charts here that'll show.
Can you zoom in more?
Yeah, I'm going to open one of them up, but they show different stats. But if we go to zoom mode, like on this one here, which will show us the sum of TShares by end date, and let me go to focus. Too many great things happening on the screen. You can see that you can see our.
Can you zoom in more?
Oh, even more than this. Okay.
Yes.
How's that?
Yes.
I can't tell from my screen. Let's go there. How about that? How's that look?
I think that's
Even
good.
better.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So that should do it. But yeah, I was trying to get rid of the top, but I can't get rid of the upper bar for some reason. But anyways, you can just see the number of TShares that are coming out, and of course we're just into February, so it's very low. But in January, 368,000 TShares expired, and then we ended up with only 24,000 of those were emergency end stakes, and we had some pretty big ones. Now this chart doesn't fully show the effects, but it's just that this trend is, at least locally, it's a downtrend for the amount that's being emergency end staked, I guess was my point.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought so as well. I am working on, and I know Maddie, you and I talked about it. I've been working on this week an animation that'll show us on an ongoing basis what the bow wave looks like, because that conversation keeps coming up. And when I say
That's so cool.
yeah, I failed so far. I gotta work on it some more. But when people talk about the bow wave, and I think I've got it over here on the advanced charts, or let's go Hexfire charts. So the bow wave is when you look at this chart with the estimated payouts. And let me know if you can see this. I'll go to focus mode.
Yeah,
You can see that okay?
Zoom it a little more if you could.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Let's go down to one level. So the bow wave is the amount of HEX that we see or expect to be coming out over the next year. So a lot of us have seen, or into the future, a lot of us have seen Hex.vision, and there's another depiction of that there, which is very similar. But every month it seems like the FUDers make the alarm that there's, oh my God, there's 6 billion coming out. Well, it does change. The amount changes, and it doesn't. What I'm going to say doesn't really affect what happens with price or anything else. But every month, a great amount of these, 80% of these, at least, right around that area of this HEX is being restaked. It's being restaked.
Would there be a way, Crispy, on that to, because I see how there's a couple of colors there on each bar, staked HEX and estimated total yield. If you could also show an extra color that would tell you how much of that is a certain length of stake. Like how much of that bow wave is a 30 days or under in staking length, and how many are longer stakes.
Yeah, we certainly have the data. I don't know if it'll be this particular rendition might be a little difficult to read with that kind of clarity, but certainly pie charts or
that's another pivot table.
Yeah, or whatever to show that, because when I did the pie chart for the end of year report and put it in there, I showed that as well, what the staking links were. And it's quite interesting because you have that. And I think, do you guys remember this way? I remember early on listening to Richard Hart videos and him saying the best way to utilize the HEX system is to build a staking ladder, get in as early as possible, and then skim your yield. Do you guys remember that ever being a conversation?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
So I remember that pretty distinctly. I probably do search HEX and see that. And so I think in large part, certainly we have ladders rungs all the way out. But I think you definitely see that within the 3 months coming up here, because how else does this quantity seem to grow? There's adoption, of course, but it seems to grow. But people are putting their stakes in short term and skimming. That's what I think.
I'll tell you guys the truth. That's kind of what I've been doing with most of my stakes. I kind of wanted, because I was, what I'm doing is kind of doing a lot of short term staking until a pulse chain arrives. Because quite frankly, I want to migrate onto the pulse chain. Now I'm not going to end stake nothing, but I don't really want to support the Ethereum blockchain that much, even if Richard wants to support Hex on Ethereum. I want to support Hex on Pulse Chain more. So I've been doing short stakes, waiting for Pulse Chain to launch. And once it launches, then personally, I plan on taking what I have in my short stakes and just laddering it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a
Well,
lot of people that
That's
do
just
that sort of thing.
personal.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that. I think I mentioned that here as well. I believe in a staking ladder for sure, right? And I believe in long, medium, and short term. But how I started, because I had to learn like everybody else, I started medium, going out for thinking, several years would be enough because I don't know about this crazy crypto world, right? And then I realized TShares were really important. And I got a lot of them if I went out really long. So then I went out really long. But then over time, my stakes that were medium, right, they're starting to come out, right? They come up now. And then I have to decide what I'm going to do with them. And it's almost like, well, if you had $1,000 right now on your table, what are you going to do with it? That kind of decision. Are you going to pay your bills? You're going to put it in the bank, you're going to save it, you're going to invest it or whatever. And so in the crypto sphere, then I want to keep it exposed to crypto. So I suppose I could keep it liquid, but I don't want liquid because then I know I'm losing. And of course there's gas fees and all that stuff. So yeah, I guess if you have a sizable enough amount of HEX that's coming out that you want to hang loose with, probably short staking makes sense, right? Particularly if you don't want to engage in very long stakes that are going to cost a lot, maybe, and ETH on the Ethereum side.
Yeah, you just got to you got to break the math down on it because it's like, if you look at your typical Hex per t-shirt, Hex per t-shirt per day payout, how many t-shirts you're going to get for that little rolling stake, and then, estimate what the gas is going to be, which has been pretty expensive lately, and, have a sizable enough chunk to offset that for a shorter stake. So it's but yeah, I understand that, and I've done some of that myself, where it was like, well, pretty confident.
Problem with short staking is you keep losing all these damn T-shares.
Yeah,
I'm losing so many damn T-shares.
Oh yeah, I mean that's crazy. Yeah,
but you get more than if it was just liquid. So
if I knew that Hex or Pulse Chain wasn't going to be launched until maybe next month, or maybe I could have staked until next month instead of short staking.
Right. Totally.
Hey, that reminds me of something, right? Let me throw this up here since we're talking about it. For those people that are looking to stake, we do have this increase coming up here, and I think it's probably, I think this should be big enough on the screen for everybody to see.
Mm-hmm. I can see it.
Okay. All right. And so we have a stake coming up that's due here on the 16th. People say it's the OA, or excuse me, not the OA, but the Godwill, but I don't think it is. It may be. Maybe it's an address I don't know about. So it's possible, but it really doesn't matter. But we do have a single stake that's coming out on the 16th. So
wow.
The history on this address has been, this is a long stake. It's a 1,000-day plus stake that's coming out. And the history is such that the staker ends their stake and restakes. Now, that's 5 or 6
Sounds
times.
Scary.
Yeah, it's scary. Yeah, it's very crazy. Let me tell you a story, Maddie, about this crazy Hex guy. He stakes and then he restakes.
Yikes!
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
Everybody locking some T-shares before that happens, that event right there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And here, my probability, I would say the probability is very high, like 90%. I don't know what the guy's going to do, but it's like 90% in my head that he's probably going to restake. But at the very least, he's probably going to end the stake.
Hey, has there been any evidence? I know that there's been speculation of like kind of an Easter egg airdrop of sorts where an OA address could have a rather large stake and nuke it to kind of reward everyone that's kind of been hanging in there and is currently staked. Is there any evidence that that's actually happened?
Well, I know that's game theory.
Right.
Because
game theory
I've engaged in that as well, that thinking, right? Because I'll consider that. Probably because I played too much Dungeons and Dragons as a kid. But
I think the same exact thing. I think there's no way anyone of sound mind would willingly destroy their stake like this. This has to be Richard rewarding us.
Right.
Well, for some of those, but I think the key is, are they known OA addresses? And I'm going to say no.
Right.
I'm going to say no. Because I would see that evidence. Somebody would bring that evidence forward. Maybe not me personally would know it, but somebody would bring that forward and say, this is connected.
Yeah. And well, why would the OA increase the payout to people? Like the whole point of the OA, it seems, is like to have a large amount of supply that's not on the market and not being sold currently, and like could be sold in the future, but not today's hex that we know of. Like, today's hex is not liquid enough for the OA to be incentivized to sell. And so that's pretty cool. But I don't think that the OA would like increase our payouts, because then we would be the ones dumping the price. It would hurt.
You wouldn't be able to dump the price because it only goes to
stakers. Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
but you would be enriching first the people who are doing rolling stakes. Like, why would you do that?
Well, I don't. Yes,
it's just a reward for all the staker class.
Now the OA, the OA hasn't taken any new actions since that I'm aware of within Hex for staking since Big Payday, right?
Well, but it would be proportional. So just to kind of follow that line of logic, you would be rewarding the people that have the most TShares that are.
But they already did the behavior that you wanted. So unless you were trying to like give them expectations, then it wouldn't really be the right game theory, in my opinion. And I welcome pushback on that.
Right. Yeah.
Well, there's no expectations because there's no announcing of the OA actually doing it. That's why there's no expectations. He's just doing it because he loves
it. But then wouldn't it just, I don't know, maybe it would screw up the game theory. Like, hey, now more people are trying to time lock, and then more people are keeping unlocked because they think more people are going to come in to try to get the higher rewards. I don't know that the system stops balancing itself out. Like, so
no,
so at the end of the day, like the APY comes from price appreciation, from adoption and stuff like that. But if you overpay people to time lock, I personally think that overpaying people to time lock then just kind of takes away from transferring all that energy into price appreciation, because people have more units to sell.
Right.
Well, they do, but it doesn't mean that they're going to sell them. It's just like when you see like a $1 trillion stake, it's coming due. Doesn't mean that they're going to be dumping all that money on the market.
Yeah, my thinking is more that it would just be buzz. It could be like a little marketing ploy, because there'd be a lot of like, oh my God, it's like
marketing gimmick, right?
It would be 25 hex per T-share. Holy shit. Like everybody would be freaking out and talking about it. And everyone would obviously immediately on paper be enriched, but it's like, I don't know if that would be worth it, to your counterpoint, Maddie.
But the best advertising is to let the value transfer into direct price appreciation. So like the hex price is the best marketing tool we have, because it's listed so many places and people care about it, et cetera, et cetera. And so like, if you just stop overpaying people to time lock, and you just let all that value naturally go into the price appreciation, then it balances itself out, is my theory. And look, we're gonna get to test it really, really well when Time Pays Me comes out and does not pay you yield
Right.
beyond the natural yield that people get from time locking. And we'll see, we'll see if that theory plays out.
Cool. Well, hey, not to totally derail what you're doing right here, but I have a question for Maddie, and it's like, I promised my fiance I'd stop at 2 hours today, so I'm coming up on that, and I'm gonna have to bail out. But because we went so long last week, so I
know.
got in the doghouse a little bit. We
It's
did like a whole
once
thing.
a week, Toby.
Dude, it was like almost 4 hours last week. So it's like she was a little perturbed about that because I told her, I'm like, yeah, it's like a couple 3 hours tops, and it's like
She sounds
pushing 4.
clean.
No, she's a good one. She's a keeper. I don't want to upset her, but I wanted to know, unless I missed it while I was dicking around with my setup, Maddie, did you mention anything about your experience at seeing Jordan Peele last night?
I haven't
Peterson,
said
rather.
anything.
Jordan Peele. That's an entirely different thing. Jordan Peterson. No, are you waiting to share that information in a special way?
I think I might make a special video.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I just thought, like, if you're going to say it, I want to be here for it. So I just wanted to see if it was coming, because I don't want to bail out and then, like, God dang it. It's like,
that's so funny that you mentioned that. I thought about the Peterson thing earlier today, and then not even sure why, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm stoked to hear about it. So I will stay.
There was a really strong response on Twitter when I shared that I was going to go do this super brief,
like a polarizing response.
No, it was just lots of people were super positive. It got like 500 or 600 likes. Yeah, it was like really, really high engagement, that everybody was really excited about just the topic of Jordan Peterson.
So, have you heard about the consortium? I'm curious if you talk. Oh, I mean, you don't have to speak to this, but I'm guessing he may have spoken about it as thing. But I've seen a lot of that on socials lately, where he's trying to create this consortium. It's kind of a counterpoint to the World Economic Forum, which I thought his kind of bullet points of what they want to accomplish are really, really cool.
It's like an invitation only 2,000 person event on Halloween this year.
Cool.
So yeah, I mean, anybody who knows him, like, help get me on the list, baby.
Yeah, right. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'll make a special video. It'll be shorter, and it'll have him on the thumbnail and that sort of thing.
Sweet. Well, guys, I'm gonna have to tap out.
Job,
I will definitely come back and watch the rest of it later, because I always like all the chart deep dive nerdy shit. But
well, as you're going, I just want to say thank you for last week. I mean, you told me you're going to support me, and you did. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, totally. It's like I'd encourage everyone to go over there and sign up for the Patreon. We gotta support the guys that are doing the good work out here and providing this kind of information. And yeah, for sure, man. It's like, it's a no-brainer to me, but maybe some people don't think of it. So yeah, go to hexfire.io and follow the links and join the Patreon, so he can continue to put out this cool content that helps all of us be more informed as we go forward.
Yeah,
on this journey together for the next.
So I got to take. I have to clip this so I can get the show right, and I'll practice. And I'll be going to be Toby at home, and I'll be like, sit there and follow it.
I'm good with the elevated pitches. So
you are. You're good. You're smooth, man.
I try. But Briz, great seeing you as always, man. Love being on stream with you regularly now. Maddie, thanks as always for making the spot
thanks
for me.
Being here.
It's great. You guys enjoy the rest of the evening. I'll watch the rest later, and and I guess
do your homework next time.
I'm right. Well, send me the notes or something, bro. It's like I had no idea. But Black Hexican's gonna have me on tomorrow, so I just kind of out of the blue, and she asked if I wanted to come be on. So I'm excited to see what that's like. So wish me luck. And then Corey Costa is going to have me on. I'm not sure when, but soon. So he had reached out and wanted to have me on as well. So hopefully I can come up with things better than snorkeling tragedy jokes. I'll have to get a good night's sleep and
family
try to represent
family show.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Catch you later.
Bye, Toby.
See you.
See you later. Yeah. So I see in the chat, we have Orion made a comment, and it kind of goes hand in hand with these charts here. Maybe we'll get to it. There's a couple of new things that I've been working on, and a big shout out to @Bezanoid. I think that's how he pronounces it on Telegram, or Ninot. If everybody's seen that name. right? Because so I worked with him to take what he's been putting out on the HEX forums for probably a year or 2 years. So I asked him, he gave me the information. We put this together and reviewed it. And it's a series of charts talking about annual inflation. Now, the reason this is any type of a big deal is I asked a whole bunch of people and I could not get an answer as to what the actual inflation is, right? Or even what the definition is. So this is a new area
Wow.
for me to dig into and understand. Now, what do I mean by all that? Well, we understand inflation, right? You understand the word inflation more, right? Somebody printed more, but there's different ways to define it. And a lot of people, and we understand this from a marketing perspective for sure. 369, got it, 369. That's it. 369, right? We got it, 369 a year, right? Because the big concern, or one of the big concerns of crypto is that, hey, somebody's going to print a whole bunch on your head and sell it, right?
Correct.
And so we all definitely beat that drum. And then but when you dig into a little bit more detail, you realize it's not exactly that, right? That's not exactly what's happening. 3.69% is not released every year. That's not what
Yeah, 'cause
happens.
it sounds like what is 3.69? What is the total amount? Is it like 25 billion? If you
What do you mean? Per
If you
year,
take
you mean?
that, so how much hex is there total? Like 650 billion?
Yeah.
3.69% of that
Yeah.
is
So this is where we start getting down into that conversation pretty fast, right? Let's go to Hex Daily Stats and pull that up. Because what is the inflation? So when we
23.9 billion.
Yeah. So what is that multiplier multiplied against? Right? It's only staked, and so staked hearts and liquid, right? So that's where sometimes the numbers really kind of throw everybody off. We start talking about this.
I remember it's starting to come back now. The inflation, is it only for stake tax, not even liquid?
No, it's liquid and staked, but the yield that is locked up, within the system does not experience any type of inflation.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's so when you give out that number, that's where you're looking at the total supply according to this chart, which again, just being or data is 646, right?
646 billion.
Yeah, 646 billion. And so, but even though we're going to say that this staked hex experiences inflation, right? It doesn't actually hit the system. So that's that, and I think you're right about that, Bruce. You're pretty close. Like
23.8.
Yeah, 23.8 billion, right? So that's what's coming. That's what's getting allocated roughly per year, right? And we're not doing all the numbers. We're just looking right now at this moment.
Fanned out over 15 years.
Well, the 369 is every year, right?
But the 23.8 billion.
Oh yeah, it's spread because
people
have their stakes out, right?
And every year there's going to be slightly more than 23.8. Just as it gets more, and then it's just going to be fanned out more and more.
Yeah. So I'm definitely trying to learn more about what these things might mean to me. Now, granted, guys, this is down the rabbit hole a little bit. It's about understanding the system, not about what you need to do with the system. We already know a whole lot about HEX and about staking and restaking, Maddie. restaking and staking, right? So
Oh,
we got
yeah.
that part down. But when we look here at this, you can see the percentages of what we're, the annualized percentages of what we're actually experiencing month by month. And so that's really the power of this particular chart, that, quite often, and you can see we're averaging below.
So these
that
percentages, correct me if I'm wrong, it's this is like, so the one right there, 2.77%. During that month, we would be seeing like 2.77% over the whole year, but just during that 1 month. So that's
right.
actually like
Yeah,
maybe at 12.
it's a certain amount that month, and but it annualized, that's the percentage.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes
Right.
sense.
So you can see when it's
So all these numbers kind of need to be like almost divided by 12 almost, right? You can kind of say like that's how much you actually experienced during the month.
and you can go look at the next chart here. So to kind of go hand in hand with that, to explain that, you can also see this is the hex itself, and these are millions of hex. So it's the same pattern, right?
Millions of hex.
Yeah, it's just a different count. Instead of it being an inflation account or inflation amount in percentage, right?
You see the actual hex numbers.
Yeah, these are the actual numbers themselves.
And these are in millions.
Yeah, in millions. So a lot of times what I'm doing is someone will have some cool type of graphic or something, and I'll work with them to take whatever they've put together and kind of bring it together into a chart
So
that's
another
set.
question. Those negative numbers down there, negative 1324, does that mean more hex got staked than inflation came into the system?
Yeah, well, what's happening is it's comparing. Yes, that could be what it means. Because what it's doing is it's comparing month over month. How much is what's going on in the system as far as inflation goes.
Gotcha.
And so it's doing that. So yeah.
That's a pretty cool chart, man. I like it.
Yeah, again, I can't take credit for it because I can't even understand most of it. I'm still trying to figure that part out, but and I don't know if you know the gentleman I'm talking about. Very cool, right? He provides lots of support, admin in the HEX chats, some other chats, and he is an absolute expert on HEX.
Yeah.
Nice.
Respect.
And so then his final one was this one here, which is taking those same numbers we were looking at and just applying the dollars at the time, TWAP for the day.
Oh, cool.
So these are the TWAP dollars that are there. Now in the comments here, Orion had said, hey, the global T-share total is trending down over time. And we've talked about this on the show before. If the OA doesn't do something like crazy or new or different, like an OA stake, then the T-shares trending down will force daily payout to increase. So that's true. That's true. It's if total T-shares go down, the payout will go down, or will go up automatically, because there's just less T-shares to share that. But here's the thing that I think that we talk about, sometimes it gets lost in the nuance. People ending stakes, even emergency ending stakes, freeze yield. When the yield is freed, it is then free to experience inflation, right? And so that's the effect that you saw with John Wick, right? So one of the reasons, even though even though it wasn't a penalty or anything like that, right? In that case, removing those shares from the pool increases the payout for everyone else, right? And so when he, in the past, could have counted the OA stakes, that meant that more payouts came to everybody else. If you had some huge. We've had some huge penalty stuff, and even I guess probably the biggest one I can think of is is Hex 19, right? That's probably the biggest one, Maddie. So even though it's
Real
hurt,
quick before you get onto the Hex 19 thing, yeah, I think maybe a lot of people don't understand. There's like something called like zombie shares, where those Hex stakes that were staked but never ended, those T shares actually eat up Hex inflation, and it'll just, I guess Hex goes to those T shares, but they don't actually go to that account.
that's correct. They go nowhere,
Yeah.
and they don't, unless somebody can say something different. They don't even go to the OA.
Yeah. So that's actually pretty bullish. Like that's a pretty nice pumpamental that, there's Hex kind of being disintegrated.
Yeah, and there's a group of people who've taken
Right.
it upon themselves to good account those one way or another, whether it's a group and it's organized or they're all separate people. But the larger ones tend to get good accounted, and so we can look at that in a moment if you like too. But what I was going to say about it is that when somebody emergency end stakes one of these things, whereas I think it goes right along with what you were just saying about the zombie stuff. If they emergency end stake a stake of their own, because they have to have the keys, all that yield then is free. Not only does it free the T-shares, but it frees the yield to experience more inflation, right? Because
Yep.
it doesn't experience inflation as part of the stake because it's never been minted. And I think a lot of people just don't understand how. And I know we've shown charts, and we were really conservative at the conference, but just how fast these payouts can ratchet up.
Do we have any charts of stakes that have ended but not been like in staked or good accounted yet? That are just kind of like
Yeah. This is the fun one. I actually go look at this once in a while. This one to see. Let me go back to the report. I'm back over to Hexfire. And under the advanced staking, we have unclaimed Hex.
nice.
And so we can go look at
Bleeding
that.
out.
So these are all the stakes that are bled. And if you really want to
You just add up all the T shares and then multiply that by the daily payout, and that's how much Hex is being sent into a black hole every day, right?
Yep. And it's not a lot, but it's a lot for me. But I mean, it's not a lot. It's
Well, there we
we
go.
only
That's
have
46.56.
yeah. Let's make sure our filters are on over here. So we're looking at only 100% burned, only 100% burned, right? That means they've already gone past their 2 weeks of grace, and now they've been they've been over 2 years since then, right? 100 weeks, or 200 weeks, or whatever it is, to their end, right? Something like 100 weeks, yeah, 100 weeks from there. So it's 2 years, 1% per year, 2 weeks free, or excuse me, 1% per week, or yeah.
All
So
right,
they're at 100% burned. Sorry, I had to think through that in my head.
so I just did the quick maths just a little bit, and if it's 46.56 T shares multiplied today by 6.5 daily Hex payout, that means we burned roughly 30,000 Hex. And
Every day.
Well, today.
Yeah.
And at 4.6 cents each, $1,400, boys. We burned $1,400 worth.
Yeah. Now
That's a buy and burn.
Now what you can't do,
Oh, yeah.
you can see the late penalties here.
Daily.
At the 343,000.
Yeah.
This is sorted that way. But from time to time, we do have some pretty sophisticated players that come in, and they'll have some pretty big stake payouts that they're waiting for. And now we know that some bad things happen to some people, so maybe they're not around anymore, or whatever, or maybe they just forgot. But these are $1 million hex stakes that have been burning for a very long time. And what we see is by the time they get to 100%, somebody comes and claims them. You know, they'll come get a count them.
So there's
But then
150 million hex right there that's gonna be just burned.
Yep. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, eventually. Now, do your calculation with this number here, 22,000. So you can just multiply it by 3 or 4. There's only 22,000 TShares right now out of all of these. So, yeah, we've really eaten into it, and people have cleaned them up quite a bit. There's not a whole lot of them out there.
What number do you want me to multiply the 22,494 by?
Yeah. 22,494.13 times the daily payout.
Times 6.51. That's 146,000 hex.
Yeah. So that's more hex than I bought today. That's for sure. And so
At
it just goes
4.6
away.
cents, that's $6,700.
Yeah. It just goes away.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. So that's when people are saying sometimes about, about the the inflation never being 369. That's another one of the things that they'll cite.
Wow.
Is that because you always have some that's going somewhere or it's getting locked or disappearing or whatever.
Well, I like it.
I love learning new things about hex.
Yeah.
Or refreshing things that I already knew. Very cool. And it's even got a cool name. It sounds like a video game, like Zombie Hex. Zombie TShares. Sign me up.
Zombie TShares eating up all the hex brains. We need an army of good accountants to take them out.
Yeah,
eating the galaxy brains. That's right.
That's awesome.
Galaxy brain.
Well,
yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, that's I don't really have that. I don't have any more topics to go over. If you guys have some.
I think we covered a lot today. Here's a quick question about how fast can the payout ratchet up over the next 2 to 3 years before the AIs take my job?
So we have a few possibilities that are there, right? And if you go back to Maddie's conference, you'll see that we did a presentation on that. But also on Hexfire, I have a chart that's up there that shows the payouts over time. So I'm going over to that now. I pull it back up. I know I just dropped my screen. Maddie, sorry about that. Share my window. All right. So if you don't mind putting that up on screen.
Got it.
All right. So yes, these we actually believe these numbers are fairly conservative. Like really conservative. Like things could be much different than this. But you can see
2029 to get 14.7.
Yeah. So remember we were talking early on.
Sounds about right.
We had some real crazy ideas. Yeah, but we were talking 30, 40, 50 at some points. I mean, there was
all I can say is it took 3 whole years because Hex is on its 4th year now. It took basically 3 entire years just to go from 0 to 6.3. So yeah, I could see another 3 years and being at 12 and a little bit further 14.7.
Well, so it's up to you guys, is right to
the future is what you make it, Marty.
Yeah, it's up to you guys to do something because what's happening is we assumed when we put together numbers like this and what we showed, and we have a little more detailed one that that Patrick the Hex Lion had put out, and as part of that that demonstration with ABIT. When we did that, we went very super conservative, and we're assuming that people will restake at the rate that they've been restaking, or better, or something like 10%. And I think Wales, I mentioned sort of, Wales was saying like 78% restake, and we made the assumption that 90% would restake. All right. So from a payout perspective, if 90% restake, that means more TShares. But if the number is really 80%, that could mean that there'll be much less TShares in the system. And then what will end up happening is this will really swing upwards. And we're beginning to see that now, I think. I mean, these numbers, you know, it's hard with looking at these numbers like this to see it, what the averages are. But, you know, we know that they're going way up. And at least as a staker, I feel it, right? Because I can look at the yield. So I think the question was, what's going to happen the next couple of years? So 24 at, you know, maybe 7, you know, 7.
If I can butt in real quick, something that is very hard to communicate, and you only really learn this over being a staked hexagon over a long period of time. But, you know, like I said earlier, I've been kind of doing a lot of short stakes because I didn't want to really lock them up for a long time because I want to migrate them over to the Pulse chain. So over the last year, I've lost a lot of my shares, right? Like it's going down, and it's just like boop, 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 boop. Every time I end a stake, I'm losing shares if I don't stick it out longer. However, what I've experienced is my daily payout is kind of the same. It's been relatively the same. Even though I'm losing TShares, my daily payout is the same just because of the ratcheting up of the payouts. And I think that's something that it doesn't really get communicated a lot.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, because what ends up happening is that since the payout has been going up, right, you kind of overcomes whatever you didn't.
Yeah,
you didn't do. The other thing I think that's really crazy about this, from being involved since the beginning, is you know, number bias, right? Like it's just crazy how much more you get out in HEX, right? So like I get more HEX out in yield than I would be willing to make the decision to buy today, right? On a daily basis. Yeah, okay, it's only a few $100s, but I'm not throwing every day $300 in, you know?
Yes.
So like, because I'm very frugal, right? So it's somewhat a big decision for me to spend $400 or $500, right?
Yes.
It's just how I'm doing things. So when you start to see that, you're like, oh my God, that's an awful lot, you know?
Totally. Yeah. And it'll be really interesting to see what people's patterns end up being when it comes to restaking and cashing out and all the, you know, the rate of adoption and everything, because it's a very dynamic system. But I like the point that that Orion made, that the HEX system is so well balanced. Richard either got extremely lucky or he ran many simulations to get the points of inflection just right. I think we can all agree that we're all very impressed by the many ways that the HEX system balances itself.
And I just kind of did just a little tiny bit of quick maths again, and I just kind of calculated, you know, how many TShares, if I would have held all my TShares and I didn't lose them, they didn't dwindle off, I would basically be getting almost 18% more HEX, you know, every, you know, I guess every day or something. If I would have kept those TShares instead of doing all the short stakes.
Because the price of a T-share went up 18% since you were calculating.
It must be, because I just kind of like, I'm like, I had this number of T-shares, and now I have this much. But if I still had that many, and I did today's payout, and it's like, well, you would have this much more hex, and then I just said, how much hex is this compared to what I have now? And it just said it's a 18% difference. So it's just really rough math, but it's like wow, I could be making that much more every day if I didn't do the short staking and I lost all my T-share rates.
Yeah, why didn't you just accurately predict when Pulse Chain would come out?
I'm bad at predictions.
Hey, me too.
Hey, I thought it was coming out
Software
December
is hard.
3rd, 2021.
Yeah.
My guess was April that year.
Me too, Briz. Me too.
I mean, why would he have a party at London if he wasn't going to announce Pulse Chain?
For the documentary.
I guess so.
It was the anniversary, buddy.
Yeah, but it was like the second anniversary. He didn't even do anything for the first anniversary.
I think that they are working on getting the software done. I do not think Richard is timing the market. I don't think that he's waiting for some magical, Valentine's Day, spring break, 2023.
No.
It's going to be ready when it's ready.
He's waiting until the pheromones are in the air. And then he releases it when everyone's endorphins are at maximum exposure.
I mean, for the first mass hex meetup, I think we were thinking that Pulse Chain was going to come out.
Oh, we did. We sure thought that.
I was like, there's no way we're going to have the Pulse Chain conference and there's no Pulse Chain. It has to come out before. It would be too embarrassing.
Yeah. The software can stay unfinished longer than you can plan a conference.
Yeah, that's a good use of that quote.
And we can be irrationally optimistic, like more than people can hold.
Yeah, Hex and SB. I could have taken out a loan with a better interest rate than 18% on my loss, right?
Loans and crypto don't mix very well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think so too.
But there's always gonna be those edge cases of people who are like, yeah, I leveraged my entire life at the bottom and it worked out perfectly. But we know that most traders lose, and trading can seem it can trick you into making you think that you're a genius in the short term, and then all it takes is one bad trade to wipe out your gains and put you at a loss. And that's part of what trading relies on. And trading, it's something we still, it's something that needs to exist in the market for the market dynamics to work. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
You need that for sure. Yeah, I was thinking about that too as I'm going over content that I'm developing and trying to put together. I go, well, I'm pretty boring. It's stake, restake. So, what's all the rest of all this information needed for? It's because it's like, well, I mean, what can I really tell you? I'm going to sign up for. I'm going to have you sign up with me as a coach, and we'll get our first session. You can say, what do I do? I say, you should stake. Well, what do I do after that? Restake. So, I mean, there's not a lot more action to take than that. So, anyways,
yeah, if you need the interest, scrape it, restake the principal.
Yeah,
it's like the entire experience of being in Hex has been like a disbelief stage for me. It's like, very, I'm just in constant disbelief. Like, oh, the price could really go up that much. The price could really go down that much. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, even though you already knew that.
Yeah,
even though you already
knew it, but it's different to experience it. And then it's like, wait, what? You like there are accounts that got larger airdrops than the amount of hex that they put in, that the amount of hex it was worth at the time. Like there's just so many opportunities in this space. So
There are a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, it's crazy. Think about that too. I use the word crazy a lot because things feel pretty crazy right now. But think about the beginning and all this discussion when we were talking game theory, not necessarily investing, right? But how do you get the most hex, right? How do you get the most, it always came down to stake for as long as you can tolerate, right? As much as you can tolerate. You get the longer bonuses, the bigger bonuses, and you'll be exposed to the system longer. And we also heard things like, and we experienced it too with Uni, but that people would send free stuff to you. But this is ridiculous at this point. I mean, it's like, I'm not gonna say no, but I mean, my God, how many more free things can you get? And I'm thinking like Randy and Big K and some of these guys say, man, they're just gonna keep coming. But you can see why, because so why do we get those? Well, in some cases, it's people that just genuinely want to reward the community. But normally they have some plan in mind that requires some sort of adoption. This is a subset.
Ulterior motives.
Yeah, it's a data set of people. This is a good set of people to send it to. So, yeah,
cool.
Well, I'm sure we'll do even more in the future.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and then you got Pulse Chain, that's going to be a big old airdrop, and I don't think we've ever seen something on that scale before, and it'll be curious because it'll just be curious to see what percentage of people on Ethereum come over and get enticed to play with their coins on that side. We saw on Ethereum Payout, not as many people did, but there didn't seem to be the same anticipation or organization or pumpamentals built in, or
no,
it's not the same set of users. There's no build up. It wasn't planned. No
one put any skin in the game.
Yeah. I mean, it was super interesting to some of us nerds, but mostly because we're curious to see what's going to happen with Pulse Chain. And it was kind of like a dress rehearsal is what I said for that. So, yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Kind of showed us what to expect, to deal with when you get a clone of everything.
What's going to be a real shocker for people is when EHEX and HEX added together are actually worth more than the old HEX. That's where people can have the real epiphany.
You think? Is that remarkable?
Is it remarkable? I don't know, it'd be very good for my bags if that's the case. If the two of them together are worth more than the old one.
Well, the old one right now, let's say, is worth 4.5 cents. So does that put you ahead at all if one of them's worth 2 cents and the other one's worth 2.5? Or
absolutely
2.6?
Well, that's the way I count. Now I guess there's fees to get in now, depending on which side we're talking about and whether you have to bridge and all that. But yeah, I mean, on the surface, sure.
I thought you were going to say when it was worth more together as a market cap than Bitcoin or Ethereum or something like that. I mean, we almost flipped Ethereum.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's going to happen. That's going to happen. Sure. I mean, how could it not? Right.
Store of value. It's a pretty good narrative.
Yeah, our imaginary internet money inflates more than their imaginary internet money, so we will have the bigger market cap.
The inflation is paid to people who time lock, which is totally different than the fiat system or the other crypto systems.
Right.
Well, we hit the 2.5 hour mark, and this has been another really great episode. So thanks everybody for tuning in. We have more watching than we did when we started. So thanks for tuning in. Hit the like and subscribe button. Rewind if you missed any of it. And of course, I went over the details for Hexpo.miami.com, which is going to be the second mass Hex meetup that I'm hosting. That's adjacent and somewhat integrated into the Bitcoin conference. So definitely make sure to check that out. Go to Hexpo.miami.com. There will be a limited number of tickets that will probably all be priced the same. I can't guarantee that, but the real advantage that you get for getting a ticket now is you could qualify to get the premium merch compared to the cheap stuff. So get it now, or or I don't know what to tell you. Biff Finesse is checking in here. He says he still hasn't claimed any free tokens. He's one of the best stackers of Hex that we have in the community. He's a hardcore Hexagon there, and we appreciate everybody out there who's
Finesse
representing. So yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. Let's see.
Hex is at 4.8 cents, everybody.
Oh, is it back up higher?
Whoa.
Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, little pump.
Is that why people are tuning in?
Little pumperoonie.
It's the Briz pump.
The Briz pump.
Matty Allen's like, wait a minute, it's my show.
No, it can be his pump.
My show.
We can pump it together, Maddie.
I don't pump. But let's see. I gotta get the logo, get the thumbnail here loaded in.
Hey, Patreon's going good. I've been doing all right with that. A few people.
Everybody get over there and get on to ChrispyMan's Patreon.
The Hexfire Pro site's coming along in the planning phases right now. Working on that.
Nice.
So, lots more content.
Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Stake wisely, my friends. Till next time. Peace out.
Bye, everybody. Mm-hmm.